Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. We're at 7 o'clock. Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley. Last weekend of being single. Matthew Rocchio.
So what does that mean?
Danny Mac. Well, just pointing out calendar facts here, Brooke.
I mean, we have been in a relationship for 5 years.
I know, but, well, okay. But, okay. But after this Saturday and Sunday, next Sunday, you're going to be a married woman. That's all I'm pointing out.
Oh, okay.
And so Brooke and Matthew both applauded. Dan just kind of sat there and looked at me like I'm an idiot.
No, I was just wondering if you were going to get out of breath, and you did. And then you tried to.
I did.
No, you did. After you got done, you tried to do the Rolex thing, and you kind of struggled. I don't blame you. That was a long one. If
St. Louis City SC ever wins a game and scores a winning goal, I'm going to do that.
Oh, Randy, why did you have to take a shot there?
What? They've
You said if they ever win a game.
Well, they've lost 3 in a row.
They'll win.
Yeah, they will. Yeah,
and then you can do your goal celebration.
Yeah. I love SC. I got to get out there. The next home game, I think I'm going to get out there. And then when Brooke is back from her honeymoon, we're going to have a team event out at St. Louis City SC. They've been trying to get us out there. We need to get out there.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
So
you see,
I'm
that's what they need, Randy. When you talked about they haven't been performing well lately, they just need us to come out there.
They can use the opening drive bump. The St. Louligans are awesome, and they're the greatest supporters maybe in all of soccer. But just there is a such thing. Hello, Kyle Gibson. Right?
Exactly.
As such thing as the opening drive bump. So here's what we have on the show. We've got a busy show today. Former PGA Tour pro Jay Delsing is going to join us at the bottom of this hour. We're going to talk, well, we're going to have Louie in studio. We're going to talk to Louie. I don't know if Louie is going to talk to us. But so, Kerbs is going to be
here. We have an interpreter.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Kerbs is going to be here. Good. Because when you guys brought that up yesterday, I was like, wait a minute. Mascots don't talk. So how are we going to do this on a radio segment?
So this is why you want to, right now, log into the Air Alliance Team Studio Cam at YouTube. Just go to youtube.com and then type in 101 ESPN STL. Please subscribe to the station's channel, and you can watch us, and you can watch Louie coming up at 8:45. And then at 9, Billiken head basketball coach Josh Schertz. He's got some upcoming camps coming your way, and also has his roster finalized. We're going to talk to Darius Shepherd of the Battlehawks. They host San Antonio this weekend. And Terron Armstead, great St. Louisan from Collinsville, does some great things. He's got some great events coming up this weekend. The Dolphins left tackle will join us later in the show, and then rock and roll as well. But the Cardinals, they're the highlight of the day at 527-27, and they open a 3-game series at Philly tonight. Miles Michaelis against Aaron Nola.
They're now in second place, too, so they have moved up slowly. I'm interested about this start and really this series. They're going to see really good pitching, very good pitching. Aaron Nola, though, at home with an ERA that's over 4 on the road, it's under 2.
Should have come here.
Oh, maybe so. Opponents hitting 241 against him at home, 174 on the road. Sometimes you get those splits for whatever reason, but Aaron Nola is going tonight for the Cardinals against Miles Michaelis. And the bullpen of the Phillies, as much as we talk about the Cardinals and their success, the Phillies bullpen in May was unhittable at times. So they're really good, and this should be a big test for the Cardinals here as we turn the calendar into June.
Yeah, definitely the toughest test of the road trip for them. And Aaron Nola, as you mentioned, has struggled a little bit, but against the Cardinals, if you kind of look historically for him, he's done really well. He's 7-3 with the 2.54 ERA and 12 career starts with the Cardinals, so I wonder if that will carry over. And then you have Miles Michaelis on the other side, and he's been decent, but will he be able to kind of really settle in a little bit more here?
So the bullpen for the Phillies, Matt Strom, 0 ERA in May. Jeff Hoffman, .93. Sir Anthony Dominguez, just over 1. Jose Reyes, 1.64. Keckering is just over 2, along with Alvarado and Soto. man, that's a good bullpen. So it's pitching for the Phillies. You're going to see that this weekend. And, oh, by the way, they have a pretty good lineup, too, anchored by Bryce Harper. So this is a tough test.
And you mentioned the bullpen, but you say they're going to face tough pitching. Every time you face a Philly, you're going to face tough pitching because their rotation, and they're going to see Ranger Suarez this weekend. He's been the best starter in baseball, 9-1 with a 1.75. As we mentioned, Nola tonight. We're also going to see Taijuan Walker, who's their number 5 guy. He's 3-1 with a 5.51. But then their other starters, they've got Sanchez, who's got a 2.83 earned run average, and then Zach Wheeler, who might be one of the top 5 in the National League. But to your point, Brooke, Miles Michaelis needs to be more crisp than he has been. It just doesn't. We talk about the crispness of pitches, and it looks at times like he just doesn't have great mechanics, and it looks, for lack of a better term, it looks like he's just lobbing it in there. And we know that he has that crispness in his stuff. I just think that they need to see it tonight.
Hump in the breaking ball is what I've seen. It's just not as sharp as it's been in the past. And isn't it funny when you say it, well, guy's 9-1, there's probably a younger fan that's listening right now and says, well, 9 wins, who cares? You don't look at wins. I still look at wins. 9 before the turn of the calendar. Today is May 31st. He'll pitch tomorrow, June 1st. To have 9 before June, that means something to me. That means you're going 5 innings at least in today's day and age, and giving your chance to win. That to me is significant. 9 wins before June. That's a lot of wins.
And here's the thing. They aren't losses.
Right.
You get 9 wins. Those are 9 games that you didn't lose.
I still put value in wins.
I do too, 100%.
And I guess we're old and we're antiquated on this stuff, but I still put a value in wins, and not everybody does. And Rock is kind of shaking his head over there. Oh, you were kind of shaking your head. It was a very subtle shake. It was. See, it's kind of like watching Seinfeld. Do you get the little shake, or do you get the big shake?
Yeah,
the big shake, you're really mad, or you don't like it. The little shake is kind of like thinking, like, no, I don't like it.
He's telling you no soup. Is that what's happening?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about wins and losses.
Larry David over there manning our board.
And Ron used to always hate it when I would bring this up, this point of fact. When they start determining standings at the end of the season on WAR, then I can get away from wins and losses. Yeah. Otherwise, I kind of like wins because that's how you wind up being a division champion.
How different does it sound when you say Adam Wainwright 200 wins or Adam Wainwright 199?
Yeah, right.
There's just a difference with it. There really is.
There is a huge difference. And this weekend, too, with the other pitching matchups for the Cardinals side, you have Sonny Gray and Lance Lynn. With Sonny Gray, I'm really interested to see, just because we saw with his last outing, he was great, but then Ali Rahman mentioned that he pulled him because he noticed his lower body was not in sync. So are you guys watching that this weekend to see what version of Sonny Gray we get, which he was great, but I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about that.
Just want to see him go deeper into games.
Yeah.
And I wonder what that means, because he struck out 8, right? He
did. He
allowed
looked
1
great.
hit. He's 74 pitches. Maybe there are, and the lower body, maybe that is going back to the hamstring thing. Maybe that is the Cardinals' concern, and they're just being uber conservative, because we know that they're going to have Sonny Gray. If Sonny Gray isn't starting for him, they've got big problems.
And Michaelis right now, and Randy, you've talked about this, is probably a 5. And he's 4 in this rotation, depending on what they do with 5 and depending on what happens with Andre Palante. Give your team a chance to win. Just hang around, and the back end of the bullpen should be rested going into tonight. So that's something to consider moving forward. But back to Sonny Gray. If he is your true number 1, I just want to see him go a little bit deeper into games. I just got to see it.
Right. Last night in the NHL, the Florida Panthers. Guess who was on the ice for the Panthers' winning goal? He was on the ice. Matthew Tkachuk. Yeah, Panthers over the Rangers 3-2. Panthers lead the series 3-2. Game 6 on Saturday. That'll be tomorrow here on 101 ESPN. Pregame at 6:30. Panthers are pretty darn good. They're not old. They don't have a bunch of guys in their 30s, but they've got a lot of young veterans. They've got a great goalie. It was worth the investment for them to sign Sergei Bobrovsky, and it was worth it for them to trade 2 premier players. I mean, Weir was a stud defenseman, and then Huberdeau had 115 points the year before, and they trade them to get Matthew Tkachuk, who's a difference maker among difference makers. And the Panthers are just, and they have a great coach in Paul Maurice. They're just a really good team.
I wonder if it's harder now to go to back-to-back finals, which is what they're on the cusp of doing, than it was, let's say, 20 years ago. where the game was, it seemed to be more open now. They do talk about playoff hockey being much different than regular season, but it just seems like they're beating the hell out of each other more so than ever before.
I'll never forget, though, playoff series against Chicago. And
again, I could be wrong. I'm just curious what you think.
It seems like guys were targeted more back in the day, like Backus was targeted by Seabrook. You aren't seeing that as much. I remember the Blues. It was Shanahan and somebody else. It might have been Shanahan and Chaser who got Chris Chelios in a corner and just leveled him one time against the Blackhawks. And it seems like there's less of that targeting where you're just wearing people down by hit. And it was the other team's best player. I remember Stuart Gavin and Gaetan Duchesne. I'll never forget those two bozo idiots for Minnesota in 1991. All they would do is cross-check Hull remember that series?
Oh, yeah.
All series long. Hully would walk out of the arena hunched over because his back was so sore. And he might have gotten cross-checked 25 times in a game, and it might have got called once.
I talked to Ray Barilli, the longtime trainer of the Blues, and I said, who's the toughest player you've ever seen or you've ever been around? And it shocked me. He said Brett Hull. Yeah. He said he goes in the slot, pays the price. He gets absolutely destroyed to pay the price for those goals. He said he's the toughest guy we have around here, which it would kind of shock me.
Stewie Blanken Gavin.
You know, you're talking about targeting guys. I think of Lindros with Scott Stevens. I think of Paul Correa when he went down.
This was hockey.
Yeah. That was hockey, baby. Keep your head down. You're going to get smoked, and they did.
What about even more recently with the Blues run when you had Torrey Krug and Robert Thomas?
Yeah, right. Oh, that run that Krug took at Robert Thomas, absolutely. And then, Brooke, you because you were around it on a regular basis, this was the one a couple of years ago where Shen is playing like we were just talking about Jack Flaherty before we came on the air. Jack Flaherty missed 3 months with a strained oblique. Mm-hmm. Braden Shen played a whole playoff year with a torn oblique.
How does Matthew Tkachuk play with a lacerated, come on, help me. Spleen, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a doctor here, Randy. You got to help me. You got to fill in the blanks.
And Shenner did that too, right? Lacerated spleen?
Maybe. I can't remember off the top of it. Yeah, the ribs were definitely a big issue for him. But yeah, you always hear once the season's done, it's like a laundry list of things. And there's even more sometimes that we don't even know.
Right.
Speaking of sore sides, what's the update on Lars Nootbaard, too? Going into this series, that's something to keep an eye on, and if they have to make a roster move before tonight.
By the way, last night in Memphis, everybody was watching to see which player might not be there. Jose Fermin. Nobody saw him. So
there you go.
That's probably your answer.
There we go. And speaking of the season being done, the Minnesota Timberwolves lost to the Mavericks 124-103, and it wasn't that close. Dallas beat them by 21, and they were up by 29 at halftime?
29 at the half.
Yeah, and they got up by almost 40, and Luka outscored the T-Wolves 20-19 in the first quarter. And it was 69-40 at halftime. And now everyone gets to wait until the finals start. Mavs and Celtics game 1 Thursday, June 6th.
I got to ask Matthew, is there a better step-back shot right now in the NBA than what this guy can do?
Luka?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ask Rudy Gobert. The man embarrassed him on national television and dotted his eye for a game winner.
So we're told that Matthew Tkachuk had a broken sternum.
Jesus Christ.
So, spleen, sternum, whatever. He was hurt.
Yeah.
Either way, I would not want either one of those. It would probably take anybody else completely out of things for a while.
Yeah. So we're off and running here on 101 ESPN. By the way, as we mentioned, Stars and Oilers that's right. Yeah, tonight. We've got a pregame at 7 here on 101 ESPN. At this time of year, I have trouble figuring out which series are over and which aren't.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening
tonight.
A lot of NBA, a lot of NHL. We carry all those games, too. We're voice of the sports scene.
Whole week, you don't have to worry about an NBA game.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, John Mozeliak was asked about Cardinal ownership's commitment to winning, and he had an interesting response. That's next on 101 ESPN.
one narrative is like, is he as committed to winning? And yourself, is there complacency from what you guys have done in the past?
Yeah, I think that question comes up a lot, and whenever I answer it, I get in trouble because, no, we're not being complacent. No, his desire to win is more than ever. He's not afraid to pick up the phone and ask me questions. He's not afraid to challenge me on things. And so, we are trying to get this right, but I think people have to understand baseball and managing rosters might not be as simple as, picking out your kindergarten kickball team. There's challenges and there's contracts. So we're trying to navigate that as best we can, but I assure you we're trying to win.
That is the Cardinal Pobo, John Mozeliak with Marty Kilcoyne on the Big 550 KTRS. Interesting comment there, because I found it difficult when my kids were in kindergarten to determine and discern who the best kickball player was.
Did you have a cap?
Yes.
Yeah. You had a cap league?
Had to deal with that. It was a cap league, and we were a cap team, too.
Yeah. Makes it really tough to get Johnny under the cap.
It was really tough, Dan. But number one, I know that Mo is going to say stuff, right? And that is something that a lot of fans are going to roll their eyes and they're going to say, oh, he doesn't respect us because he's saying that this job is so... No, Mo is just... Mo would be great on talk radio, right? Because he says stuff.
Yep.
And I know that that'll bother a lot of people. But to the question, if you're rational and you're looking at the way the Cardinals approach, the ownership approaches financing the payroll of the team, again, this requires some rationality and nuance. I don't see how you can say anything else except for the fact that they want to win and they're trying to win. The only thing that I would question there, and I don't know what the answer is, I know that Bill DeWitt used to go down to Florida and watch the Florida State League team and watch the instructional league. One time he was down in the Florida State League at his Jupiter home, and he goes down and watches an A-ball game and goes down to the coaches afterwards and says, hey, why is that Bader guy playing left field? He looks like he has a skill set that would translate to center. And they move him to center field, and then Harrison Bader becomes a Gold Glove center fielder. Dan, you'll remember that offseason before Hicks and Helsley. They had only pitched an A-ball. And I'm asking him, hey, who's going to be your, this is in January, I'm saying, who's going to be your closer? And he said, hey, keep an eye on these Hicks and Helsley because they throw 100, and they're going to be here quickly. And lo and behold, Jordan Hicks was here when the season started, and Helsley was up that season. So I don't know if Bill DeWitt is involved to that level anymore. But a team that, according to Forbes, is top 11 in revenue, top 11 or 12 in revenue, is top 11 or 12 in payroll. And that's just the way most teams go. The number one payroll in baseball is the number two revenue team in the Dodgers. The number two payroll in baseball is the number one revenue team, the Yankees. And it pretty much goes according to that. Revenues and payroll are ranked similarly for almost all of baseball. The only outlier is the Padres, who sold off a bunch of people this season.
Don't you think that the true criticism might be not necessarily payroll, and I'm talking about when he's looking at the fans' perspective, but maybe how the money is spent? Because we're talking a lot about pitching development, and they did go out and spend. I will give them all the credit in the world, because right now the starting rotation looks great, especially if you can have something work out, maybe with this number 5 spot. I know it was just one start from Andre Palante, but still it's a very expensive starting rotation. And so if you had some more of those pitchers that were ready to go, that were developed in the minors, that are homegrown arms, then maybe you wouldn't have to continue to put yourself in that position. Of course, you're going to go have to sign pitchers, but at the same time, being able to supplement it with some of your own homegrown arms is something that I would point to.
Brooke, you just brought nuance to the table. Because you're right. You're 100% right. It's not how much they spend. It's the way they spend it. I was telling a story last week about Bill Bidwell when he was here in St. Louis. And everybody said, Bill Bidwell was cheap. Bill Bidwell was cheap. When the St. Louis football Cardinals left for Arizona, Neil Lomax was a top 3 paid quarterback. Louie Sharp was a top 3 paid left tackle. Roy Green was a top 3 paid wide receiver. Curtis Greer was a top 3 paid defensive end. And E.J. Jr. was a top 3 paid linebacker. It wasn't how much he spent, it was how he spent it, because other players were making a bunch of money that weren't succeeding. If there is a problem, again, with ownership, with desire to win, it's not, over the course of a decade now, recognizing that the efficiency in spending is very low here. And I can go back all the way to the last 2 years of the Johnny Peralta contract. I can go to Mike Leake. I can go to the extension for Matt Carpenter. I can go to the Andrew Miller signing. I can go to Brett Cecil. I can go to Dexter Fowler. I can go to a lot of dollars that were empty calories for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think it's an evaluation of what's in-house a little bit, too. You know, they gave up, obviously, a lot to get Ozuna. Some guys have walked away that you're sitting there saying now, man, I wish they had that kind of player. But I'm with you guys. It's not about the money that they've spent. It's because they have, let me say this again. They have spent the money.
Yeah.
It's about maybe evaluation on who they spend it on, which is open for debate. And that's part of what I think Mo is saying. To the question that you asked, or at least we're talking about here, does ownership care? They care a lot. They have a lot of reasons to care. They need people in that ballpark. They are dependent on butts in the seats and going over to Ballpark Village, of which they own a portion of that. So to sit there and say, well, they just don't care and they don't want to win or they don't want to spend the money, that's false. That's not right. They do. You can no question about evaluation. And I think that's one of the reasons that Chaim Bloom is here, is to get a different set of eyes, an outside set of eyes looking at your team to evaluate. And I think that's fair to say that too.
Yeah, I don't doubt it whatsoever. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I 100% agree with you, Dan, on that point. Now, when it comes to the developing side of things, and Randy, I know that you bring up a lot about the Dodgers and what they have available. Of course, nobody can do what the Dodgers are doing.
No.
I mean, there's no comparison there because they just have a crazy amount of money and resources. But, I mean, I've even seen on the text line, what about a pitching lab? Is that something that maybe the Cardinals could do to really help take their organization to the next level in that way of really making sure they can develop some of those arms?
And they have talked about that. Now, if that is where you want to go in terms of desire to win, if you have talked about a pitching lab and you haven't implemented it yet, that's a problem. When you have as much expenditure as the Cardinals have in Latin America, they have a Dominican academy, all right? They spend a lot of money getting international free agents. When's the last time the Cardinals had an international free agent that made an impact on their roster?
Yeah, you look at Adolis Garcia, you look at Randy Arozarena.
Yeah.
Those were signed in that big international class that went on to have success other places. And I know a lot has been made of they don't develop players. I don't buy that into that either. I mean, they have, look at the everyday roster of what they've got going on right now. Ivan Herrera, second base, shortstop. They've at times left field, center field. They're back into their bullpen is Ryan Helsley, who's an all-star this year and has been an all-star before. But and then look at other teams of players that they have developed. They have developed players. It's just, do you keep them in-house? And that's self-evaluation.
And the all-stars that the Cardinals have developed are playing or pitching for other teams.
That's the problem. So self-evaluating and then developing, I think, is something that you have to question. Like, did you get rid of these players too early? They probably thought that some of these players were going to be very good players, maybe not to the level that they are. They didn't see that. But are you evaluating properly on those that are under your own roof?
Right. You need to find the dominant kindergarten kickball player. You need to recognize that right off the bat.
And sometimes it's Susie and sometimes it's Johnny.
And you know what? The funny thing is by the time they're 8, Susie and Johnny have no ability whatsoever. They've just been passed up by the other kindergartners that are now third graders.
Well, they got involved in cartoons.
Yeah, that happens.
You know, cartoons, video games.
That Brett Cecil.
Oh, no, I remember that.
There's some truth to that. Unfortunately, there's very much a true statement.
Don't you guys remember that he had a video game console in his locker?
He had an extra locker.
I'll never forget, too, after, was it his final year? And when I did an interview with him during spring training, and he talked about the whole process with things, and he was like, oh, I'll be fine. Like, we're building like our compound, like is how he described it, his house that he was building with his family.
Did he have like an injury with it too?
Yeah.
It developed like a forearm issue, and it was said that maybe it was done by playing video games.
Not great.
I shouldn't be laughing. I'm sorry. It's funny. The fact that it happened,
Right.
Memories.
It's crazy. It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Coming up, a lot going on in the golf world, and our buddy Jay Delsing is going to join us to break it all down next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals face off against the Phillies tonight to start a series. 5:40 first pitch. It'll be Miles Michaelis, the righty for the Cardinals, facing off against zoo aficionado Aaron Nola, the righty for the Philadelphia Phillies. Last night in the NHL, the Florida Panthers take down the New York Rangers 3-2. They now lead that series 3-2. You can catch Game 6 right here on 101 ESPN on Saturday night tomorrow with a 6:30 p.m. pregame. Game 6 tonight of the Oilers and Stars. Game 5 tonight of Oilers and Stars. Pregame starts at 7 p.m. right here on 101 ESPN. And in the NBA last night, the Western Conference Finals are now over, and the NBA Finals are set. The Dallas Mavericks over the Minnesota Timberwolves 124-103. Next Thursday, Game 1 of the NBA Finals, Mavs and Celtics. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
This is the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
Rick Grimsley, Danny Mac, Randy Carricker, Matthew Rocchio, and Jay Delsing joins us. Jay and Dan host Golf with Jay Delsing Sunday mornings 8 to 10 here on 101 ESPN. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. I want to start with this. Have you ever had, or have you ever played with someone who had a hand injury that affected their skin on their hand? And is there a way to work your way around this? I played with a guy the other day who was, his hand just hurt so bad because he's got a skin issue on his hand. Have you ever had that?
No, just blisters and a lot of cracking, from playing in the desert a lot. So there's this thing called second skin, Randy, that you can put on on your hand and on a blister, on a crack, and it actually will fill it in and put a layer over your skin that really, really helps. It doesn't make all the pain go away, but it really, really helps.
Matthew, write that down for your friend. Second skin.
It happened to Rock is what happened here. We're just reading between the lines.
Oh, man.
We're just looking out for friends here, Jay.
I like it.
Well, Jay, this weekend we have
asking for a friend.
Exactly. Very close friends is how we like to phrase it. Well, the RBC Canadian Open this weekend, Rory McIlroy is the favorite to win. Well, because he's the only golfer that is ranked in the top 10 in the world, Jay, competing this weekend. But is there any other names that we should be watching for?
What's interesting, guys, is right now the Canadians are great golf fans, and right now there are some unbelievable Canadian players. One of the neatest things I'd seen in sport was, I believe it was either last year or the year before, but I think it was last year, where a Canadian, I think it was Nick Taylor, wound up winning the Canadian Open, and his friend Adam Hadwig went out to celebrate with him, and an overzealous Canadian security guard tackled him. It wasn't just hey, stop. It was a cross-body block that knocked him over, and he was carrying a bottle of champagne. It's one of the It's perfect for Canadians and for hockey. So I would love to see another Canadian win. There's a young kid named Taylor Pendrith that I played with probably 5 years ago or so in a qualifier up in Toronto, and he won his first event on the PGA Tour about a month ago, Brooke. And unfortunately, that golf course, Hamilton Golf Club, doesn't sit great for Taylor. But I would love someone like Taylor. There's Mackenzie Hughes is another great young Canadian. So I would love to see one of those guys win. But this golf course, Hamilton Golf Club, sits up really, really great for Rory, because if you can drive the ball well there, you can take that golf course apart.
Nelly Korda took a 10 on a par 3 yesterday, and I felt like, welcome to the club. It's like everybody in the world has gotten a 10 if you're not a pro. I mean, everybody, but it happens to the pros too, doesn't it, Jay?
Danny, I was so when I was playing in the Honda tournament my rookie year on tour, my friend Steve Payton I went to college with, we had this idea that if you made the cut but finished last, you got something that we called I can't say it on air, but it was something cup. Okay, if you finished dead last, made the cup, you got this award. And I made the cut, but I was not playing very well. And I had a 3-stroke lead over a guy named Jim Simons, and I was coming down This is when you're playing lousy. You're playing on the front nine when the tournament's concluding on the back nine and nobody's out there watching you. And I made a 10 at Eagle Trace on my 16th hole and went from a 3-stroke lead for this certain cup that I was not trying to win to having it firmly in my grasp. So I made a 10 and played 2 more holes, and then I was handed this cup by my friend who was waiting for me at the 18th. So it's actually kind of similar to what I did was actually similar to what Nelly did. And I have been at Lancaster Country Club down in Amish country. It's really a beautiful golf course. But what's odd, you guys, is we're driving to the golf course, and we turn the corner, and there's a farmer who is farming with a horse-driven buggy thing that he's doing his farming with. So it is kind of a throwback, that entire area. The golf course in the hole that Nelly it's the 12th hole. It's a sharply downhill, really, really short par 3, but it's got an incredibly severe green. And your instinct is to hit your first shot long, and if it goes in that back trap, man, it can get really dicey. And I got to believe, Nelly was kind of dumbfounded when she kept chipping the ball back into the water. It gets pretty embarrassing.
Hey, Jay, I want to get deep and serious here, and we don't do that much on this show. And a lot of times when we go to a store or something, we ask somebody how you doing, they'll say, live in the dream. And I would just assume that as a pro golfer, especially if you're doing well, but if you're on tour, I would suggest that in my world, you're living the dream. And here's a guy like Grayson Murray, who is top 35 in the world. He's made $2.5 million this year in 13 events. And on the outside, we would think, oh, living the dream. Can you, number one, could you relate to the pressure? But could you describe, and he obviously was dealing with a lot of mental issues, but those mental issues, I'm sure, are exacerbated by the pressure of his livelihood. Can you kind of take us behind the curtain to explain what the pressure is like for somebody like that?
Yeah, I can, Randy, and it's really interesting, and I do not believe that Lexi Thompson's announcement of her retirement was coincidental, because Lexi's been dealing with a lot of these. So, guys, what happens is that you feel so scrutinized, especially nowadays, where there's literally cameras every single place you go. When I was playing, we had and I wasn't a star player by any sense, and so the golf Tiger hadn't come out, and we didn't have cameras on the front nine, and we didn't have cameras in the locker room, and social media wasn't a thing. And this life of celebrity from the PGA Tour now, you guys, can get so overwhelming and get so intrusive, and people are wanting to know what you do every minute of the day, and a lot of people handle it really well. Ricky Fowler comes to mind, where not only, he looks at this as his brand, and he takes it so seriously, because he'll go out and he'll sign autographs for kids, and he'll deal with all of the comments from spectators that have had too much to drink and things like that. And when, depending on your personality, some of these comments, they really hurt. I was taught by my dad, when my dad played professional baseball, you guys, the worst thing they ever called you was a bum. And they were like, and nowadays, with the gambling that's going on, and if people are betting against you, the stuff that people will say and scream out, it's incredible. Nothing is off limits. They'll talk about your children, they'll talk about your wife, they'll talk about your girlfriend. And so it gets really, really difficult. And when you're under this sort of scrutiny, and a lot of it, you guys, is your own self-perception. You get a guy like John Daly. John lives this large life, and this stuff doesn't really affect him at a level like it did Grayson Murray. And Grayson just felt like he was continually scrutinized and not good enough, and knew that he had the talent to play. One of the hardest things about about golf is, you guys, as you know, it's a hard game, is you only get this one shot. You get this one opportunity to try to pull this shot off. And if you don't, you've got to go figure out something else. You've got to go play this shot that went haywire. And it's sometimes it happens at such meaningful times that it's just devastating. And you come off of, there's so many highs and lows from a personal standpoint. When you play extremely well, you know, you almost are in this euphoric high. And then when something goes wrong, you're left to pick up the pieces without really anybody that you can have some support from people that can console you. But you look at yourself and you're like, well, it was all on me. You know, this was my fault. This was, and it really takes its toll. And for Grayson to be such a good player, and you know, from a little kid, Randy, this Grayson Murray was so talented. Jerry Haas is the head golf coach down at Wake Forest University, and he's had Webb Simpson through there, and Bill Haas, and a lot of really, really great golfers. And he said, hands down, Grayson Murray was the most talented kid that's ever gone through there. But Grayson Murray didn't last at Wake Forest. He also went to 3 different colleges. So he struggled with trying to just deal with it, Randy, on a personal level. My buddy John Perlis at caddies for me a lot of times will stand there with me. He tried to play professional golf and didn't make it. And when people say, they'll say what you just said to me. They'll say to me, "Oh my gosh, Jay, you've got the perfect job. You get to play golf for a living." And my buddy John would say, he's got the perfect job until you get it. And once you have that job, you're like, it's not so much fun. So the pressure really can get to you, Randy. When you start thinking about standing over a 5-foot putt on the last hole to make a cut, it's the hardest thing you'll ever try to do, because when you're trying to stand over a putt to win a tournament, all systems are going. You're playing extremely well. When you're on the cut line, it is dicey, man. You have made some of these. You've missed a lot of them. It's not necessarily going your way. And then you sit there and have to deal with the fallout of spending, you know, $6,000 or $8,000 that week without, you know, getting a paycheck. It gets pretty tough.
Well, right. And in his specific case, he withdrew from the tournament. And then, as you mentioned, he goes back to an empty hotel room. Right. And there's, for somebody who's dealing with the demons that he was dealing with, obviously, that was the worst combination of things to occur.
It absolutely is. And that time alone, and that time with your own thoughts it's one of the things that will differentiate whether a guy can make it on tour or not. Unfortunately, he took his life, and that's awful tragedy. But I will say this, Randy, and Grayson's parents have come out and said this. When we played back in, gosh, I forget which year Payne Stewart died, but you'll probably remember this.
1999.
Yeah, so we just had finished playing the Walt Disney Classic. It was the last tournament on the schedule before the Tour Championship. And all of us were shaking hands and saying, hey, we'll see you soon. And later that day, Payne Stewart died in that tragic plane accident. And we turned around and came back to Orlando for his funeral, and the outpouring of support. I mean, we don't have a union on the PGA Tour. We're all independent. And almost every single player that was down in that tournament came back and went to Payne's funeral, and his family was overwhelmed with it. And Phil Mickelson said to me in the locker room one time when his wife, Amy, was diagnosed with breast cancer, he said, I could not believe how many people from the tour have reached out to me, players and things like that, because the competition is intense and everybody wants to beat the heck out of one another. And then something like this happens and everybody really, really pulls together. It's pretty damn cool.
It's great to hear, and that's great insight too, because we think of it, and it's a glamorous lifestyle, but like Pearlie said, yeah, it's a dream job until you get it, right? Exactly. So very well put.
It's difficult to handle, and I had when you're playing poorly and you're playing in front of people, it's embarrassing, guys. I mean, it's embarrassing because you're usually playing right next to somebody that's playing really, really well. You know, and there have been so many times where I've had 3 or 4 holes left, and I felt like I was putting a beach ball into a thimble, you know, that there's something that just wouldn't work, and I just couldn't get off the golf course fast enough. And then at the end of the day, my round is probably a 74, which is not terrible, but it doesn't do you any good on the PGA Tour. Right. It just sends you right to the back of the bus.
Yeah, right. Jay, who do you guys have on the show on Sunday?
Yeah, we have a good friend of yours. I think you know Jeff Budrovic. He is the current owner now at Fox Run, and so we get Jeff and his team, John Patzman and Arlen Hill, who's a superintendent, because they are resurrecting Fox Run. So it's really, really super cool. And then we have Chandler Worthington, who is a former PGA professional up at Hazeltine. He's from the Bob Ford tree down in Seminole. And Chandler has done and taken these logos from different clubs and turned them into artwork. And so it's really pretty cool. I don't know how he managed to become a professional golfer and an artist, but he's got those skills. So it's pretty neat.
All right, we'll be looking forward to it 8 to 10 Sunday morning. Jay, thank you very much.
Have a great day, guys.
You too. Take care. Jay Delsing with us on 101 ESPN. By the way, the Payne Stewart passing and his plane lost pressure, and it just flew all the way across the country. I'll never forget that it was being tracked. Remember, Dan, by everybody on national TV. But that was the day after Marshall made that incredible run, Marshall Falk, against Cleveland. The Rams had improved to 6-0 the day before on Sunday, and this happened on Monday. He was flying after a tournament in October, and that was just surreal. Sitting at Rams Park getting ready for Dick Vermeil's postmortem, and we're all just glued to the televisions in the media room as they literally track. As what turned out, everybody in the plane was dead, but Payne Stewart's plane flying across the country.
It was shocking, and you take one of the best players, still basically in his prime, and lose him on tour. And again, this is not it wasn't like it wasn't a big name in talking about what just transpired this past week. If you follow golf, that's a big name. Payne Stewart was elite, and that was shocking when that happened. Yeah.
That's Dan. That's Brooke. Matthew is here. I'm Randy. Coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Your Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo-ho.
TIOLI next on 101 ESPN.
my final offer. Take it or leave it.
It is time for TIOLI 314-399-9646. 314-399.
Yo-ho.
You want to know?
I do.
It's a weekend edition of Yo Ho.
Nice.
It's just very simple and to the point.
It was. I was hoping for singing Dan. That's always my favorite version of Yo-ho Dan.
I gotta save that for special times, special occasions. Maybe on your final day before you leave us to go get married. That could be the marriage edition of Yo-ho.
Okay, yeah, I would like that.
Okay,
That would
I
be
can
beautiful.
I will try. Here comes the bride. Yo ho ho.
Quick, record that. We're going to play it. We're going to play it at the wedding, okay?
There we go. Kids, Jack Flaherty last night, Detroit Tigers against Boston, goes 6 2/3. He allows one hit. He threw shutout ball. He struck out 9 and walked 1. He has 90 strikeouts in a little over 60 innings. Take it or leave it, Jack Flaherty gets a $100 million contract after this season.
I'm going to leave that just because of the injury history. Is this a one-off? But I bet he gets paid. I don't think $100 million. I could be wrong. But I don't think it's going to be $100 million.
Now, after having one healthy year, Carlos Rodon got 48 over 2 from the Giants.
Where I'm going.
Okay, but then he had an opt-out, and then he gets the 130 or whatever he got from the Yankees. I'm with you. I think it's going to take 2 reasonably healthy years for Flaherty, but I think that he'll get a monster deal. I think it was 44 over 2 because I think Matt's got 44 over 4, and Rodon got 44 over 2. He got twice as much.
And Jack is 28 years old. How old was Carlos when he got that?
I think that's roughly about what he was, too. I think he was 27,
I think he was
28. I thought 28.
Yeah, so I can look for you right here.
But it just kind of based off of what some of the owners are saying and everything with TV contracts and whatever is going on with that, doesn't it seem like maybe there's a different approach to those big monster contracts?
Yes.
Unless it's Soto.
Yeah. Right. And maybe even him. By the way, Rodon was 28. He was in his age 28 season when he had his first healthy year.
I'm going to leave it, so I don't think $100 million for that.
But Soto might not get the $500 million. Soto will get
$450.
Yeah, or 400. I would think he'll get at least 4.
So if Ohtani is the comp and he gets 700. You got $350 for being a pitcher, $350 for a hitter.
See, I think there's more value in being a pitcher. For me, and this is AAV, I'm looking at the AAVs for Verlander and for Scherzer, the 43
so you
and a
can't
half.
Just split it right down the middle with Ohtani.
Yeah, I think Ohtani's money, his value is probably more tied up in pitching down the road than hitting.
Yeah, makes a good point.
All right, take it or leave it, guys. The Cardinals will have 2 All-Stars this year.
Mason Winterrad Helsley?
That's who I'm thinking.
That's all I can think of.
Yeah, I'll take that.
What about Sonny coming home?
I don't know. I kind of had him on the fringe. At first, I was going to phrase it as they will have more than 2, but I really can't see past that. Maybe you put Sonny in there.
No, I don't think they're good enough. That's the thing. I
was looking at his ERA compared to others last night, and I don't think that. I mean, it's good, but it's not up there in the tops, obviously.
And there's going to be teams that are not good that are going to be able to how do you get them in with a relief pitcher or something like that?
I also think, and this leads me to my take it or leave it, there are a lot of really good shortstops right now in the game of baseball, which leads me to this. I was thinking about Mason Wynn, and he's in a group of Witt and Cruz and Turner and De La Cruz and Corey Seager and Correa, Swanson, Betts. I mean, those are some of the shortstops that we're talking about right now. And then you had the Ripken era with Yount and Ozzie. You had Larkin in the early 2000s and A-Rod and Jeter and Nomar. But I'm going to say this. Take it or leave it. Is this the best era of shortstops right now in the history of baseball?
Right now?
I got to leave it. That time with Nomar and Jeter and A-Rod and Vizquel in the American League alone. And then we had Renteria going here. Man, that's hard to imagine that this group is better than that.
Maybe in 2 years it is.
Yeah. And there's more on the way, right? Because
there's
Jackson
more on
Holiday.
the way. That's right.
Arizona's top prospect is a shortstop. Boston's top prospect, Marcelo Mayer, is a shortstop.
But it's a great era right now.
It's
It is.
fantastic.
Yeah, I probably should preface it by saying it's a great young era of Major League Baseball and shortstops. But you know what? Time will tell in a couple years probably and see where they go.
It is exciting. Did you mention Gunnar Henderson, too?
There's another one.
Yep.
Yeah,
He
that's what
could
I'm
be-
saying.
How can I forget him?
Yeah. Pretty darn good.
Miguel Tejada, that's another name from the past that was part of it too.
Yeah, right.
You know, he was a hell of a player.
Pretty good. All right, Matthew, what do we got on the text line?
Take it or leave it. A Friday after a holiday during a short week feels as good as the Friday before a long weekend.
Friday before.
So essentially,
like today?
this Friday feels as good as last Friday.
I'm going to leave that.
I'm going to leave that too, yeah.
It's always
staring
more
in the
fun
face,
having
3
a
days
Monday.
off?
Yeah.
And you like Mondays off instead of Fridays?
Yeah, because then the Sunday scaries aren't as scary, Dan. That's why. Yes.
Should I have Sunday scaries since I'm not going to be here? I'm playing in the Mizzou Golf Tournament on Monday.
No, you don't get the Sunday scaries.
Who's hosting on Monday? Brooke
It's me.
and
Brooke and BK.
you going
It is.
solo?
No, it's BK and I.
Oh, good. That's going to be a lot of BK that day.
BK and BG.
So
Yeah.
is it? So he's going to do the mornings and then come back after an hour after the balloon party?
I assume so, yes.
Yeah. Well, we did that, Randy. We did afternoons and mornings.
Yeah, we did.
No big deal.
No, but we were grinders.
Well, I was.
BK's a grinder. BK's old school.
Yeah, he grinds.
Yeah.
Grinds big time.
Yeah.
Love BK. I hosted a show with BK.
I know, yeah.
A lot of baseball talk on that show for an hour. Yes, Matthew.
Take it or leave it, Mason. Here's some baseball talk. Take it or leave it, Mason win plus 2,500 odds to win Rookie of the Year is absolutely worth the trip across the bridge.
Oh, what are the close friends saying, Dan?
We talked about this yesterday about some of the really good rookies. I think Yamamoto will be in the conversation. I think Shota Imanaga will be in that conversation if he continues. He did not have a good start last time out against Milwaukee, but give him first time through the league, which is tougher for teams to pick up. I think he'll be in the conversation, though. I don't know if he'll win it, but I think if he can, well, put it this way, if he continues to do what he's doing, he'll have a really good shot to win. Who else is on that list, Matthew? Do you know? In terms of the top rookies that the betting lines are giving? That's all right. If you don't have it right at the fingertips, don't worry about it. But those are some of the names I think that will get a look. And to your point, Randy, I think it depends, too, on success. I think part of that is biased by success of the team.
Did we say Skeens?
He's probably going to be the betting
so
favorite, right?
I'm looking right now at FanDuel, which actually has Mason win at plus 2,000. So this person's looking at a different book than I was, but so on and so forth. Shota Imanaga, who just got beat up, plus 120. Paul Skeens, plus 380. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, plus 550. Jared Jones, plus 1,300. And then Mason Wynn comes in at fifth right now in your Rookie of the Year odds at plus 2,000. And they also have Jackson Merrill at plus 2,500. That's from FanDuel.
I think it's got to be Paul Skeens. If he stays healthy and makes starts every fifth day, is exciting, and the notoriety that he's gotten early on, I would imagine that he would be the pick.
Yep. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thank you very much for your text. We do appreciate it. Coming up on Fresh Take, can the Cardinals make a national impression this weekend against the team with the best record in the league? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, guys, there's a cool thing happening in St. Louis. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're running a business that's growing here in town, NetSuite's Business Grows Here event is coming to St. Louis on Thursday, June 27th. Why St. Louis? Because NetSuite knows St. Louis is a hub for entrepreneurs with forward-thinking founders, a top talent pool, and pro-business leadership. To apply to attend the business event of the year, all you need to do is go to netsuite.com/Missouri. netsuite.com/Missouri. It's taking place at the Union Station Hotel on Tuesday, June 27th, and you'll learn how Missouri is paving the way for new business growth and capital. And you can see how new technology fueled by AI is shaping the way we grow and run our businesses. And Jamie Simonov is going to speak. He's the founder of Ring Doorbell, and he's opened a new company here in St. Louis, and it's headquartered right here in town. NetSuite by Oracle. Business Grows Here is free to attend if you qualify. Apply at netsuite.com/Missouri. That's netsuite.com/Missouri.
Fresh perspective on today's top stories. This is Fresh Take.
Presented by Lindenwood University. Real experience, real success.
The Philadelphia Phillies have a record of 39-18. They're 3.5 games clear of the rest of the National League. The Dodgers have the second best record at 36-22. And this weekend, the Cardinals and Phillies are going to play at the Bank, and the Cardinals will have an opportunity, I would think, to make an impression not only on the Phillies but on the nation, because tomorrow the Cardinals and Phillies are on national TV on Fox, and then on Sunday it's Sunday Night Baseball. And hey, only baseball fans are going to be watching, but they might learn how hot the Cardinals are. They kind of missed out last week with the rain delay here. I wonder if the Cardinals, at least on baseball and on baseball fans this weekend, can, I would think they would be able to make an impression and have people say, you know what, the Cardinals are better than I thought they were.
The best way you can make an impression is if you sweep the Phillies.
Mm-hmm.
That would be something that really gets a lot of national attention. If you can go out and at least get like 2 games, then that gets you some attention, but getting a sweep against a team like the Phillies will 100% get a lot more attention. But don't you guys feel that right now people are not fully bought in? And I'm talking about just national perspective wise for baseball fans, because people want to see the Cardinals get over that 500 hump before they fully buy into things have changed, because they just put themselves into such a big hole early on into the season that, yes, you have to give the Cardinals a lot of credit for the streak that they have going on right now. But do you think that people are fully bought in yet, or do they need to see 500 more consistently and even getting over 500?
Why should they buy in?
Yeah.
I mean,
12-3.
12-3 in your last 15, and then you had the 7-game losing skid, and you're almost 10 games out. I think to the point that you made, Randy, is if the Cardinals win tonight, I think that gets your attention. If you beat NOLA, and then you're 13-3 in this stretch, then I think you get the attention of a lot of people. And it'll be brought up on Saturday and Sunday that they probably, not probably, they've gained 5 games on Milwaukee, 7.5 on Chicago, 5.5 on the Braves in the wild card, 4 on the Padres in the wild card. So I think that'll get attention, and they'll point to, and I bet they ask, is this the real Cardinals team, or is this just one of those things over a long haul of 162? They got hot for a little bit, and show me even more before we're going to proclaim this team as one of the contenders in the Central.
And there are some people out there. Jim Bowden was with BK and Ferrario the other day, and he said they just don't look like a playoff team to me. He said I see playoff teams every year. I'm down on the field with them, and they don't look like a playoff team. And
I don't agree with that.
I can see, because
you
of the
look
unknown.
at the division,
right? I think we see him every day, and you're exactly right. You look at the division, but he doesn't know. Jim Bowden doesn't see Mason win every day. He's not seeing the emergence of Ivan Herrera. He's not seeing these young bullpen arms step forward. And he believes, and it's not unreasonable for him to believe, that the starting pitching is not going to be there like it is right now once we get to August and September. I kind of share that view. But right now, as you look at this club, if you're watching it every day, they've got a lot of really nice elements, and they should get better.
Nolan Gorman, that's the other one that you didn't mention that is starting to play well and hit for power. Yeah, I could see where from the outside looking in, when you have these older guys in your rotation, you say, well, they're going to falter. They're going to get worn out down the stretch. And I think to a point that's legitimate. But if they're hanging around like they are right now at the trade deadline, you can completely change that. The narrative changes on what you do at the deadline.
Especially with the bullpen, I think that's been one of the biggest keys with the Cardinals this season. But the usage, I think, is a concern. I do worry about that a little bit because of what has happened just early on. And then we mentioned Sonny Gray. I would like to see him go a little bit deeper into games. And you hope that, yes, Sonny is coming home. And hopefully he will do well this weekend, Randy, because you want to see him get deeper into games. But I worry about the bullpen and how long they could last, too, because we have seen some overusage, and maybe you're starting to see that a little bit with some of the guys in there.
Nolan Gorman, since May 10th, 340 average, 6 home runs, over 1,200 OPS. That'll play. And Goldie is obviously been better. Arenado seems like he may have made an adjustment the last time that he played, which was on Wednesday with the home run that he pulled and got it in the air, and that's something that he's talked about. You know, when you talk about, and you started this by saying, what will the national narrative be? I think part of the narrative has to be in the division that you play in. And that division is just, it's a division that Fangraphs said before the year that all the teams would be within 5. And that wouldn't surprise me either. So if you're talking about a playoff team, not necessarily just looking at roster construction, but looking at where they play, then they have a good chance, I think, to make the playoffs. I really do.
Do you guys think, by the way, a couple of years ago, Andrew Friedman, who I think does a great job with the Dodgers, and they're in a different stratosphere than everybody else, but he said you don't really build a 26-man roster, you build a 35-man roster. That's what you need. And Brooke, to your point about the bullpen, do the Cardinals have that? Can they go down right now? Do you feel like they can go down and pull somebody up? Maybe it's Robertson. Maybe you go down and get him and put him in the bullpen. Maybe a Graceffo who has good stuff. Maybe he winds up being a bullpen arm. But do the Cardinals, the Dodgers have 7 or 8, and again, different animal altogether, but they have 7 or 8 really good pitchers on the IL. If the Cardinals lose 3, do they have enough down there to pull up and be representative for them, especially in the bullpen?
Don't you find out, though, by giving them the shot? And I think sometimes pitchers can be much better as relievers, especially early on in their careers, where they say, okay, I've got to come in for an inning. I've got this repertoire of stuff, but maybe I eliminate one pitch and I'm focused on max velocity. I'd be interested in watching that if you brought somebody up and said, okay, you're not in the rotation, but we're going to give you a chance in the bullpen and to see how this turns out.
And Brooke, a name that we talked about a lot last year that we haven't talked about this year is Tekoa Roby, who's down at AA and is a really hard thrower. And maybe that's the sort of guy you just say, okay, to heck with AAA. He can throw the daylights out of the ball. Let's get him up here for an inning.
Yeah, and also another benefit, too, of Andre Palante, and hopefully we talked about it, buying time is the biggest thing, and maybe he will be a big surprise for this team. I was impressed the other day, but having Matthew Liberatore back in the pen, I think, is a huge advantage. I like him in the pen, and I think that that's the best usage for him in this situation.
And
pitching's the key for sure.
It is. And not only Liberatore, but if Palante is successful, then you can put Matz in the bullpen when he comes back.
And I think that's where he's got to go.
I agree.
I just think that I felt that way since the get-go, and I understand that you give him his chance in the rotation, but success plays, and especially now, then you would have roughly a year and a half on that contract, and you could move it later if you wanted to, but you have a year and a half on the deal, and you've made the comp to Andrew Miller. You're paying him a lot of money to go to the bullpen. Maybe that's what you do with Steven Matz.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. They both made $11 million.
Right. And if Palante's there and doing what he did the other day, you cannot move him from the rotation. He's got to stay there.
Yep.
I was giggling a little bit because on the YouTube chat, and look, I this is fair. And Jason said every series over the last 2 weeks has been, if they win this weekend, it will be something to take notice on this channel. I understand that we have been saying that, but I think that the Cardinals have been a pretty big surprise. I wasn't expecting them to go 7-1 on the homestand. Were you guys expecting that?
No.
And they keep adding to it more and more and more. Now, I say without a doubt that this is probably their biggest test. Wouldn't you guys say, especially with what they're able to do, and then the fact that this is the best team in the National League, well, one of the best teams in the National League with the Phillies, I think that with offense clicking right now, and you really are looking at this as a measuring stick game. Would that be fair to say?
It's the biggest test since their first 4 games of the season against the Dodgers.
Yeah, which that didn't seem fair at the same time.
But it is. You're right.
Yeah.
It is. And
especially with who you're going to see. Nola.
Yes.
You're going to have the lefty going tomorrow who's 9-1, and then you're going to see good pitching on Sunday. So that's what makes this a harder test, looking at the rotation that the Phillies are going to throw at you.
And I got to be honest, I picked the Cardinals before the season to be a 500 team. Once they got to 7 or 8 games under 500, I didn't think they'd get back to 500. I thought they would wind up I didn't think they would ever see 500 again. So for them to be at 500 now, 27-27, for me, from my opinion, that's a major accomplishment.
Oh, for sure. Because you could have gotten buried. Yeah. You know, when you were 9 games out, that was, you started thinking, oh, here we go again. It's the momentum in a bad way of what happened last season. You get buried very, very easily. So give them credit. 12-3 in their last 15.
That's today's Fresh Take here on 101 ESPN coming up. They said, what? It's coming your way on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird report. After taking 2 of 3 against the Reds, reaching the 500 mark for the first time since April 16th, the Cardinals will face their toughest test of the road trip with the 3-game series against the Phillies starting tonight, who have the best record in the National League. Miles Michaelis and Sonny Gray and Lance Lynn are the scheduled starters for the Cardinals this weekend. Michaelis will be going for his first win against the Phillies in his career. On the other side, Aaron Nola getting the starting nod. He is 7-3 with a 2.54 ERA and 12 career starts against the Cardinals. First pitch will be at 5:40.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What you talking about?
What the hell are you talking about?
What you talking about?
Do you actually listen to yourself when you speak, or do you find you drift in and out?
What you talking about?
Bro, I'm out, man.
It's time for They Said What? What is going on with the Mets, guys? I think that's a big question that everybody has right now. Many people are still divided on really what to make of that whole Jorge Lopez situation, you know, where the Mets DFA'd him after his post-ejection glove toss into the stands and his comments afterwards saying that he went over the line. Just here's a quick refresher on what Lopez said, by the way.
Carlos Mendoza said that he understands the emotion, but that particular action of throwing your glove into the stands was unacceptable. Looking back on it, do you regret doing that?
No. No, I don't regret it. I think I've been looking the worst teammate probably in the whole MLB. So, you know, whatever happened. So, whatever they want to do it. I'll be tomorrow here if they want me, you know, whatever they want to do. So, I'm going to keep doing this thing, you know. So, I'm healthy on whatever, you know, on whatever to do. You know, I'm ready to come back tomorrow, and if they want me to be here, so I'll be here.
So one of the big divisions that I was talking about is that people are debating about if he said team or teammate. And it's really important to note that English is his second language. He did not have an interpreter next to him. And he also went on to clarify on his own Instagram account that he meant teammate.
Let's listen closely again, because I did catch the teammate. Can we hear just the first 10 seconds again? Because I did catch teammate when I listened closely this time.
No, I don't regret it. I think I've been looking the worst teammate probably in the whole MLB.
Did you guys catch it?
Yeah,
I did too. It sounds like teammate, but he was quoted as saying team. And I know that there was a reporter that went back and kind of clarified his comments. There's also video of that. It looks like Lopez didn't fully understand. He said probably. It's like he didn't fully understand the follow-up question, but it was reported that he said team. Either way, he's DFA'd. And there was also a team meeting prior to that. So there was just a lot going on with the Mets. Now, after last night, the Mets were able to get a win. J.D. Martinez spoke to the media about their mindset moving forward and what was said in that team meeting.
Like I said in the meeting, you know, no one thinks we're going to win 100 games this year. I guarantee you. You can ask everybody. Everyone, they're going to put all their money that we're not. So we have no pressure on us, you know. The pressure is on everyone else right now. Let them have it. If we lose, we lose. They already think we're the worst in baseball, you know. So let's just go out there, do what we do. We know we have a really good team. We know we have a really good, you know, just roster up and down. We have a lot of guys that, you know, I face a lot of these guys, and they're not fun to face. They're not, you know, uncomfortable with bats. And our team is, you know, I think it's a team that can produce runs. And I think we have, you know, a legit, you know, competitive team day in and day out. I mean, we're showing it every single day. We go out there and we compete.
So my big question to you guys is, what's going on with the Mets organization? Because this is not a cheap payroll organization. No. And are they handling all of this correctly? Did they handle that Lopez situation correctly?
Well, number one, they screwed up last year. And I hate to tell the Mets I told you so, but don't fire Buck Showalter. Buck Showalter was not the reason that you struggled last year. You had a lot of injuries, and it was a weirdly put together. It was an all-star team that they tried to put together. It wasn't a good unit. And for all the money they spent, you're never going to be in great shape when you have Max Scherzer, as great as they are, Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander at their age. They had them like 10 years too late. So that was one of the big issues. But in terms of this particular situation, the guy wasn't that great, and I think they shot a hostage, basically.
And you're throwing your glove. So no matter what you say, and we can debate on whether he said team or teammate, but I heard teammate. But you're throwing your glove. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. You know, you just can't do that. You can't be pouting on the field and letting that be a part of what you see as a fan.
Right. That being said, if you're the Cardinals, you go get him.
Randy.
No, he was terrific with Baltimore last year. He was an all-star.
He was. Now, he was struggling a bit. And I get what you're saying about the glove toss. I am not excusing that whatsoever. But we do see a lot of players in baseball showing a lot of emotion. It's something that you see all the time, especially with the umps and all the different kind of stuff. You see emotion happening on the field. You have bench-clearing brawls happening all the time. Yeah. So I think that there's a lot more context to this. And they even stated with reporters, the reporters were stating that the comments were also a part of the reason why he was DFA'd in this situation. So I have to wonder if this is all handled properly. And somebody texted this in, and some reporters have also mentioned this too, that he has been dealing with his kid who is sick and needs a transplant, and it's actually going on with him right now. So there's a lot of emotional stuff that was happening with Lopez.
I think, go ahead, Randy.
I was just going to say I'm much more accepting of a glove being thrown into the stands than a bat.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
a little softer than the bat. Yeah, no doubt about it. That's a good point. Don't want to see bats being thrown out of frustration at some fans.
No.
I think the bigger question that they have right now is what do you do with Pete Alonso?
Yeah.
So he's a free agent to be, and do they sign him long term, or does somebody step up and trade for him, or does he want to be in New York? Do they want him to continue there? He's gotten off to a slow start. The other part of this too, I always go back to this when I see them spending the money that they spent. When Steve Cohen bought the team, he said a 5-year plan, and if we don't win a world championship, it's a failure in 5 years. You don't hear many owners come out and say that. He's got the deepest pockets of just about anybody in the game. They're going to spend money, and that's part of what the Mets' MO is right now. And if you're a fan, I think you can at least appreciate that. It's just going back to, are you spending it on the right players? And the answer would be no.
Yeah. Did Lindor, I wonder why this goofiness happens with the Mets. It seems like Lindor had something happen a few years ago. Obviously, there's the Vince Coleman firecracker incident. It just seems like this kind of stuff has happened to the Mets for a long time.
Do you think, though, it is because of the market that they play in and it gets exposed more so with that? Now, I'm not talking about the Coleman situation. That would have been exposed anywhere. But it's talked about so much because of the media scrutiny that they're under. It's amazing. When you go to New York, whether it's the Yankees or the Mets, the amount of media that covers that game, it's really tough to hide stuff if you're an organization.
Yeah, it seems like every single thing. Even that video that is making the rounds right now, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, of Harrison Bader talking about, he was asked just his favorite New York players, and it was all Yankees. And he grew up in the Bronx, so I'm not surprised. But then people are like, well, he should have thrown in a Mets player or two into that. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But that's maybe a video that typically wouldn't get that much attention, but just because it's the Mets and there's just so much that's surrounding them right now, I think that that's the big issue there. So when you hear JD's comments as well, do you think when a player's saying that mindset, do you think, okay, that's being a great leader, or do you say, okay, well, you guys are spending a lot of money. Fans sometimes don't want to hear if we lose, we lose. Is that the right mindset approach?
I don't want to hear him come out and say we're awful. So I think he's got to say that just to save face for the organization and to be a guy that's experienced in this league and to come out and kind of temper things down. You know what I mean? Just make sure that you're not coming out and let this thing get completely out of control.
I took it as a "we'll show you." He was saying, we've got pitchers that I don't like to face. We've got a good team. Nobody thinks we're going to win 100 games, but we're going to come out and we're going to. That's what I took it as. More of a defiant comment than we suck comment.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of what the Cardinals and what they were talking about a little bit earlier in the season. We heard Goldie talk about it, and it's guys pressing too much. And so I took it as him saying, look, let's relax a little bit, guys, and not have too much pressure on ourselves, because you don't accomplish anything with that.
I think you have to have veterans step up in that situation too. And when you go to New York, you got to have veterans for the most part step up and say, this is not who we are. We're better than this. And I do think it deflects attention and try to deflect it in a positive way, which is what he did. And that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. By the way, going back to the Mets, you had 2 GMs that got fired because of off-field issues. You had the Mickey Callaway situation with them. You had somebody a couple of years ago, I think it was a Lindor controversy. It just seems like And Dan, you're right. It's the beat reporters that are there on a daily basis. It seems like it's never ending, but it did seem to be quelled a little bit when Showalter was there.
Yeah, old school, kind of kept things in house, ran the clubhouse. By all reports, said he ran a very good clubhouse. Yeah, veteran managers will do that, and it seemed like they had the right guy at that time. I was surprised that they moved on from him. I really was, and I don't know if it was him being older and just saying, I don't need this. I don't need to deal with this. But I am a big Buck Showalter fan. He can manage. He's won. It's unfortunate that the situation turned out the way that it was. But in that market, you need somebody like that, I think, because the media scrutiny is just so high.
Yeah, it's amazing. But you know what? It's good for baseball. There's no such thing as bad publicity. So Lopez is giving baseball publicity.
There's a lot of stuff going on there. So I'm interested to see who picks him up.
Yeah. And glove night at the old ballpark.
Oh, no.
It was.
Hey, somebody did catch it, though.
Yeah, that's a good catch. They said, what? Coming up, we need a fighter on the fight, right? 314-399-9646. Smith, that one guy lost yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Randy, do you ever know who you're going? I mean, you say this all the time. Matthew, do we need a fighter? You know the answer to that. So why not change the way that you're approaching this and just say, hey, we need a fighter, so text in.
Dan, I don't have the attention span, so I don't know whether I won or lost yesterday.
Oh, come on. You remembered Peter a little bit, Randy. He's a Hall of Famer.
Peter Alonso, on his way to not quite a Hall of Famer. He's a big, strong guy.
Hall of Famer, Peter.
He'd put somebody in the hospital, too, yeah. That's right.
He's a big dude.
He is. We've got the fight coming up, and then we're going to be guest heavy for the remainder of the show here on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals start a series against the Phillies tonight, 5:40 first pitch. It'll be Miles Michaelis facing off against the righty for the Phillies, Aaron Nola. Nola on the season is 6-2 with a 3.04 ERA. Last night in the NHL, the Florida Panthers over the New York Rangers 3-2. They now lead that series 3-2. Game 6 on Saturday tomorrow on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6:30. You can catch Game 5 of the the Western Conference Finals, Oilers and Stars, right here on 101 ESPN, starting tonight with a pregame at 7 p.m. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American and heating and air conditioning dealer.
Drive on 101 ESPN. The red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, and Rockio here, and it is time for the fight. We have a new fighter today because Peter lost in the Hall of Fame, but still he's a Hall of Famer. We welcome in Joey now. Joey, how are you doing?
Good. How are you guys this morning?
Oh, we're doing great. Are you excited to also maybe try to get Randy this week so you could get into the Hall of Fame?
Very, but it is going to be tough to follow a Hall of Famer.
Oh, man. Are you nervous? Because this is a time in your life when you look at milestones, and this could be a milestone in your life to win against Randy on the opening drive.
A little bit, but yes, that would be a cool addition.
Okay. Have you ever fought Randy? I got to ask you that, too.
I have. I haven't done very well in the past, but I am a gauntlet champion, so maybe that'll boost me sometime.
Oh, my.
Oh, there you go. All right.
My.
You ready for question number 1, Joey?
Sure am.
Today happens to be the birthday of potential City SC target Marcus Royce. In which country has he played his entire professional career? Is it Germany, England, or France?
Germany.
Okay. Our next guest is a St. Louis favorite, but Blues fans weren't always so lucky to have Louie around the arena. Which Blues season was Louie introduced? Was it 2003, 2007, or 2011?
Let's go 2007.
Okay, on to question 3.
Who is the Blues' all-time career leader in penalty minutes with over 1,700? Is it Barclay Plager, Kelly Chase, or Brian Sutter?
Gotta go Chaser there.
All right, and on this day in 2014, Oscar Taveras made his Cardinals debut and did it with style, launching a 5th-inning moonshot that ended up being the winning run. Against which NL West team did he hit that debut home run? Was it the Padres, the Rockies, or the Giants?
That was the Giants.
Nice work, Joey. I'm going to go grab Randall.
How are you feeling?
All right. I know I got that Tavares one right. I mean, you can't ever forget that swing.
Yeah. What about everything else?
Yeah. Those hockey ones, I should have had my brother take over.
Oh. Is he a big hockey fan?
Oh, yeah, the #1 Blues fan. Shout out to him.
All right. Well, here comes Randy, another big Blues fan, Cardinals fan, Battlehawks fan, City SC fan.
I just saw Louie out in the hall.
Whoa! Was it exciting? Did you have a great conversation with Louie?
Not great.
Because he can't talk.
He's going to join us here in a few minutes. So
I'm excited.
Looking forward to it.
Randy, say hi to Joey.
Joey, good morning. How you doing?
Good, Randy. Thank you for having me.
We're thrilled to have you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing.
Absolutely.
Ready for question number 1?
I am ready.
Today happens to be the birthday of potential City SC target Marcus Royce. In which country did he play his entire professional career?
I'm going to go Germany.
Is that based on looking at things, Randy, or just taking just a wild guess?
Total wild guess.
Okay.
Looking at things.
Just curious.
Well,
I know you're a huge City fan.
Royce seems German.
Yeah.
And I know that Lutz loves to scout that Bundesliga.
Oh, Randy.
All right, on to question 2. Our next guest is a St. Louis favorite. You just saw him in the hallway.
Louie.
That's Louie. Which Blues season did he debut and when he was introduced?
How old is Louie? I am going to go with post. I'm going to go John Davidson era. I'm going to say that he debuted in 06, 07. That's what I'm going to go with.
All right, on to question 3.
Who is the Blues' all-time career leader in penalty minutes?
Can I interrupt you just for a second, Brooke?
Yeah.
Do we need an interpretation on question 2 here? Sorry, Brooke.
Yes.
You need a single year?
So it was the years in the options were the first year in the bracketed years you list an NHL season. So Randy's answer was the 06-07 season.
Yes.
That is what the answers here were the first number listed was the first year of the season. Not that's how I usually, because it was introduced to start a season. So it was what season did he get introduced to start?
How about this? Why don't you guys just give me the lifeline and I'll use the lifeline there, okay?
03, 07, 11.
I'll go with 07.
Okay. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not crazy. Okay, good.
You ready?
Yes.
All right. Who is the Blues' all-time career leader in penalty minutes with over 1,700?
Over 1,700 minutes in penalties for just one player? Wow. I am going to have to go with Brian Sutter for that. Sudsy. Boy. I don't know that anybody else would fit the mold of having been here a long time and taken a lot of penalty minutes. So I'm gonna go with Sudsy. Twister and Chaser. You know, interesting thing about Tony Twist, he didn't take a lot of minors.
No, he did not.
He was a really good, clean player. He, obviously the Fighting Majors, but he didn't take a lot of minor penalties.
Are you ready for question 4?
Ready.
This day, 2014, Oscar Taveras made his Cardinal debut. Fifth inning moonshot that ended up being the winning home run.
The rain.
Against which NL West team did he hit that debut home run?
I believe that was against the San Francisco Giants. What an amazing scene. You can still watch that on YouTube. That was so cool. And
rain falling, long swing, finish with a home run.
And
pretty cool.
I do think that it's interesting. If you look at the fallout from the Oscar Taveras death, obviously the Cardinals don't trade for Jason Hayward, right? They don't trade for Marcelo Ozuna. He's your number 3 hitter, and he's 32 years old right now. He was 22 when he died 10 years ago. It probably changes the way you look at even acquiring Paul Goldschmidt. Not that you wouldn't have, but if Oscar Taveras is what he should have been for the last decade, there's a lot of scrambling and a lot of deals that the Cardinals made that they wouldn't have had to.
Matthew, are you ready to award or go to a tiebreaker or what we need to do here?
I'm ready to roll because we have a winner in today's fight.
Oh, my.
I'm sure the text line won't have anything to comment on this. Ring that bell.
Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis. With the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
I'm sorry, Joey. You put in a yeoman's effort, but unfortunately, Randy Carricker hit the hit the jack. He beat you 4-3 today in the fight. That was a good job.
Yeah, it's not much you can do when he gets the jack.
Yeah, not a lot you can do, and you got one of the 2 hockey ones, so I'd count that a win for you. Today happens to be the birthday of potential city target Marco Royce. I apologize for the Marcus. The autocorrect doesn't really like names that end in O, and personally, I'm offended by that.
Hey,
Microsoft, get your apparently jingoistic keyboards the heck out of here. Thank you, Mark. They still redline me every time I type my name in on a Word document. Frankly, it's insulting. Marco Royce, my apologies. That's on me. And which country has he played his entire professional career? It is in fact in Germany. I didn't go mean here. Borussia Dortmund would be the club he's played almost his entire career for, but I wasn't going to go that mean. Our next guest is a St. Louis favorite. Blues fans weren't always so lucky to have Bluey around the arena. He was introduced to start the 2007-2008 season. It was right off the bat, and then a month later they introduced him. He was playing the saxophone to the Blues Go Marching In, and then a month later after a fan poll, they actually named him Louie. So the fans named him, but the Blues introduced him in October of 2007 to start the 07-08 season. The Blues all-time leader in penalty minutes with over 1,700. It goes Brian Sutter, Barclay Plager, and then Kelly Chase. That's the list for the St. Louis. Kelly Chase is number 2, Barclay Plager is number 3. That's the list for the St. Louis Blues in reverse order of the answers that we played. And on this day in 2014, 2014, Oscar Taveras made his Cardinals debut and did it with style, launching his first career hit and home run in the 5th inning for what was the game-winning run against the Giants. He then had a curtain call, as Randy said, out in the rain. An impressive 4-3 win for Randy Carricker today in the fight. Joey, nicely done. Thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show today.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Quick shout-out to my dad and brother again. We text each other our results every day. And Dan, a quick shout-out to you. I'm only 24 years old, so thank you for being the voice of my childhood.
You're welcome, and thanks for the kind words. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us. And coming up next, the aforementioned Louie will be in studio. Is he going to talk on the radio?
So how is this going to work?
Well, Curbs is here to interpret.
Oh, okay. So he definitely will not have to talk.
Yeah. Louie is next on 101 ESPN. And Matthew, and there's a great event coming up. Tom Stillman told us about it last week, the Blues chairman, when he announced that the Blues will be having a trivia night on We Went Blues Day on June 12th over at Enterprise Center. You can learn more at stlblues.com. And we are joined in studio by Louie. Louie, how you doing? Louie is joined by the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN, Chris Kerber. Hi, Curbs.
Randy, how are you?
What did Louie just say?
Well, I think he said I'm doing fine. Okay. Gave you the old Arthur Fonzarelli heads up. You know, back, I guess, in the North Pole, Louie used to watch reruns of Happy Days.
Those Happy Days.
He was a Joni kind of bear.
Okay. So, Louie, you were introduced for the 2007-2008 campaign. Okay. Congratulations on a long career. And you're a crowd favorite. When we, and Kerbs, you'll remember this, when we got the rights to the Blues, the introduction for the entire staff was Louie coming into the main conference room.
That's right.
And telling us in so many words, because there are none, that we were going to be the new home of the St. Louis Blues. It was a big thrill. I still have that selfie somewhere. I have a lot of selfies with Louie. So, Louie,
Kerbs, are you going to say anything here?
No, believe it or not, like internally in my own head, I'm having some fun with him just standing there hand gesturing the answers and
You're supposed to be the interpreter.
Mime radio. It's just I'm a little twisted this morning, but mime radio seems to be making me laugh today.
Kerbs, you're the interpreter over here.
All right, so this is going to be the trivia night's going to be great. Tickets available right now, $300 for a table, right?
Yeah, that's actually a great price. So it's like tickets are it's $300 for a table. There's 10 people per table. You know, so if you got 8 and you want to leave out 2 of your dumb friends, you know, it's still $300. Okay, but June 12th at Enterprise Center. It's going to be 10 rounds. Hockey, you know, obviously Blues heavy. There'd be a movie arena type stuff, hockey related trivia, a good focus on the 2019 run. So just kind of a fun hockey centric night. I think it'll be a fun night, and it's great that you're going to be hosting with Joey. You know, so who knows the way, you know, what will go through Joey's mind when you give him a microphone for 10 rounds of trivia.
Now, hold on. Tom Stillman said he wanted him here, you know, at this event, but I didn't know you'd be the host. I thought you'd be competing, which means it's unfair.
Tom Calhoun's going to ask the questions, and Joey and I are going to host, and there's going to be interviews with Blues alumni, and we'll just be up there. We will be smart Alex up there on the stage.
Okay. And all that money is benefiting Blues for Kids.
Which is fantastic.
All right, so he brought you a trivia question. You want to give it a shot?
Yeah,
but
Louie's got a trivia question for me.
You said that even you didn't know this at first, right? Is that what you said earlier when you came in?
Yeah, I screwed it up.
Okay,
the question is, which 3 players led the Blues in goals, assists, and points in the 2019 playoffs? Obviously, Ryan O'Reilly is number 1. Jaden Schwartz had 11 goals, so he's got to be there. The third player on that list...
is it surprising?
It might be Pareko.
Well, you got to give his mind a chance before we hint, right?
Yeah. I guess.
Okay, wait. Ryan O'Reilly is which one?
O'Reilly's 1. Right?
No. Sorry, look. 3 different players. One led in goals, one led in assists, one led in points.
So O'Reilly led in points.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Schwartz, he would have led in goals.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go with Pareko on assists.
Ooh, close.
Petrangelo.
Okay.
Yes.
How about that? Yeah. 3 different players.
Tag team.
Yeah.
We did it.
Not shocked.
No.
What a surprise.
What a surprise. Yeah. Randy had it.
You guys are going to be visiting the other... How'd they do on TMA with those questions? Bad?
It took a while.
Nail it?
It took a while. I think they're still working on it. We're supposed to go finish there at 10 o'clock.
Also, something we learned today is that everybody in this room, including obviously Louie, has been a mascot at some point in their lives.
Well, they're real, though. They're real. I mean, Louie's real. If you're a young kid out there riding along, Louie's real.
So
it's just like Santa.
It is. I have never done.
I thought that you have been one at least once.
I'm too claustrophobic.
No.
Listen, I told you guys. I was telling you guys prior to the story. So my middle daughter, Gabby, was scared to death of mascots. So when we'd go to the ball game, Fredbird would come up, and we would literally bring carrots for Fredbird. So I didn't know the Cardinals ate carrots, but in this case they do. And so Fredbird would come to the seat, and she would hand just trembling, shaking. She'd drop carrots in Fredbird's beak, and that's how we kind of got her used to mascots. So like I said, as good parents, we took them to Disney World, and nothing like, mascots running all over the place. And for whatever the heck reason, like even Buzz Lightyear, I got one of my all-time favorite pictures is her in my arms with just staring at Buzz Lightyear like, who the hell are you, and get away from me. Except Chip and Dale. Two 6-foot chipmunks are the one thing that she did not.
I thought you were going to go the Chippendales.
Yeah, well, no, she wasn't quite old enough at that point. Now, is it going into her senior high school? I might have to worry about it. Right? Different type of mascot. We don't like them around the house very much with a house of 3 girls. But but seriously, like of all the mascots bouncing around Disney, like the one she didn't have a problem with were 2 6-foot chipmunks. Which
that's interesting.
By the way, on the YouTube chat, I hate paper straws writes, wait, that's not a real blue bear?
Yeah.
It is a real blue bear.
It's real.
In addition to the trivia night, there's a lot of other things going on that the Blues have going for We Win Blues Day. We're going to be airing Game 7 here that night here on 101 ESPN.
Yeah, we're going to be airing Game 7, which is great. And then there's going to be kind of an all-day thing. So if you log on to the Blues website, stlouisblues.com, and that's where you can go to click the link to buy a table for Trivia Night 2, which is, again, that's going to be the night of June 12th. But on one of the digital channels, are working out a few things on Channel 4, but be airing all 4 clinching games.
Oh, awesome. That'd be really
cool. And then you remember the feature that the Blues did, which I think is one of the best things that we've seen them done.
With the cup?
In Their Words. They put that episode of In Their Words. So it's basically Game 7. And then as certain plays are coming up, the player that was involved in the play pops onto the screen in the corner to describe what they thought and what was going through their mind and stuff. A real neat way to present it.
That's great. Looking forward to that.
And how about the fact that we call We Went Blues Day on the one event? Like, nobody was supposed to be on stage speaking at the time.
No.
When Brett went up there.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you didn't know this? So they were, nobody was supposed to be up there. And I'm sitting down, and I hear Brett Hull's voice talking, and they're giving me names of other people we had to introduce. We had to throw a bunch of politicians in at the last minute. And so we look over, and Brett Hull is speaking. And I looked at Jason Pippy from a distance. I said, at first I couldn't see the podium. So I said, when did we put on a video? And he goes, we didn't. It's live. And I look around this pole, I'm like, son of a gun. Brett's up there talking. Doug Armstrong comes over. He goes, get him off. We're like, how the hell are we going to do that?
And Chaser was there, right? I'm not doing it.
Hey, listen. So he tells me, I go to the stage. Right, and I looked at the police officer there because we had to get Sam Page and Lyda Cruson off the stage because they were hovering in the back, and the TV cameras thought things were about to start. So we get them off the stage, and I tell the police officer, I'm like, listen, you can't let anybody up on the stage because it's messing up the TV thing, because they keep cutting from the parade. So I said, what happened? We weren't letting any on stage. The cop goes, it's Brett Hull.
Right.
Exactly. Fair enough. So we go up there, and I grab Panger with me. I'm like, come on, we got to get him off stage. He goes, what? So we're standing back. Honestly, I go, how are we going to do this? He goes, I don't know. And I go, well, we could do the old Animal House thing. I'll go on one side, you on the other side. I'll go Germans, And then I thought, we don't want to be part of that meme. So we get up there, we just flank him and had kind of a signal that Jason Pippy behind my back. He said, when I put my hand behind my back, cut the mic. So when Brett took a break, he cut the mic. And this is just awesome. We're on either side, and Brett looks at me, he looks at Panger. He goes, is this your guys' way of telling me to blank off?
Looking forward to...
Thank goodness the microphone was off.
Looking forward to reliving that day again of winning the Stanley Cup and all of the succeeding days with the parade. Curbs, Louie, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. And,
all right, cheers, guys.
Looking forward to the trivia night. You can learn more at St. Louis Blues.
Louie says thank you.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome, Louie. Good to see you. Coming up, Billiken basketball coach Josh Schertz has some camps coming up. Going to talk about that and his roster next on 101 ESPN. Brooke Grimsley and Dan McLaughlin. I'm Randy Carricker. It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN. And the Billiken basketball coach, Josh Schertz, has some camps coming up. He's going to promote those. We're going to talk about his roster, too. And he's on the celebrity line right now. Coach, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, appreciate you having me on. Thanks so much. Everything's good.
Good. We got to start with this. There's a little thing called the opening drive bump. Cardinal right-hander Kyle Gibson is on with us every week, and obviously you know how well he's doing. And ordinarily when a player shows up on this show or a coach, they get what's called the opening drive bump, and it helps them succeed. So you have an open invitation, Coach, during the season if you want to come on every week, just so that we can get you a little bit more success over there at St. Louis University.
So this is like the opposite of the Sports Illustrated jinx. This is the complete 180 of that. Okay, so that's perfect. I'll come on. Listen, I'll come on every day if it if it helps us. I mean, Doug Gottlieb's doing it, right? So he's hosting his own radio show. So maybe he wins the national championship. I don't know.
That's exactly right. Which is amazing in and of itself. All right, you've got camps coming up at St. Louis University, June 10th through 13th, and then June 17th through 20th. What do you got going on?
Yeah, we're trying to put them together. We may, consolidate it down to 1 week, to the 17th through 20th. Try to maximize. We got a late start, but we haven't had camps in about 4 years. Been a variety of reasons, COVID, just getting them restarted. But one thing I talked about when I took the job was trying to, connect the program and the community. We want to do some things. One way to do that is camp. Gets the kids in there. Our players will be working the camp. They'll be around. Lets the young people meet our players. Gets them time together. And those kids tend to come to the games, and they bring their parents. And once you come and watch us play, usually you come back. So I think that was a big part of us building it in Terre Haute and Lincoln Memorial was running those camps, letting our players be around, building that true connection between young people and our players. And we got great guys that we love to have our fans around. So hopefully, we'll get that going, and we'll go 9 to 4 and, teach some basketball skills. It won't just be fun and games, but certainly be an opportunity for our guys to work with some young people here in the community. Hopefully teach a little bit about the game of basketball.
Coach, thank you so much for coming on again. And we look forward to talking to you, I guess, every day here coming up soon. But the last time that we did talk to it works out just like that. The last time we talked to you, you were still putting together your roster, and now it's finalized. Mm-hmm. Tell us about the group that you have.
Yeah, I think, we think we did well. I guess we talk to any coach now, they would think they did well. If they thought they did poorly, that's not a good sign. But we really feel like, we got a good group in. I think you always start with you got to have a requisite level of talent and a requisite level of competitive character to be a really good team. And we feel like we have the talent and the competitive character to give us a chance to be good. Now we got to go out and we got to do the work. And there is no magic. I always say magic's in the people, magic's in the work. And we think we have the people. I think we hired a great staff that's going to do a great job with our guys. I think we got a really good team. We were able to do a good job of identifying and getting guys. I think that's a credit to SLU itself. The cell when you get kids on campus, beautiful campus, really good academics, great city to support it. I think there's a lot of momentum, in what they've done recently, Champion Center, all the different amenities that have been built out. I think it's an impressive visit, so credit there. And then, our staff did a great job. Our coach and staff did a wonderful job of working, sifting through and making sure that we didn't settle. We really want to be selective with not just the level of talent, but the quality of human being. I think you got to have both those things in place to win at a really high level. And so now we got to go and starting on Monday, start putting the work in to actually become a team and hopefully have the traits that all those really high-level championship teams have, and you got to stay healthy. So there's some things we got to do, but certainly looking forward to this journey. It's going to be has a chance to be a special year for sure.
Coach, you ever had at a camp like a 7th or an 8th grader that you ever picked up or followed them from what they did at a camp? I'm just curious if that's ever happened for you.
Yeah, there's been guys that I've watched. I don't think I've ever gotten any of them. I've never been to a level where I could, but there was guys like coming out of Knoxville. Bray Pemberton, who wound up. He went to Tennessee, and now he's was Big South Player of the Year at UNC Asheville. He transferred out. But there was great players out of Knoxville that came through. Trent Noah, who just went to Kentucky, he came to our camps as a 7th and 8th grader, became one of the top 150 players in America. So there's been guys you could see at a young age that, man, you're like, they're good. And then there's plenty, probably 5 times as many guys at that level, 7th, 8th grade, that are terrific that you never hear from again because they either are bigger than everybody else and they stop growing or they just don't develop in the way you would think. Kind of goes back to that. I don't know if you remember years ago where Billy Gillespie started offering 7th graders at Kentucky, and some of those guys wound up playing NAIA. They never even got to, that's a hard age to. But there's guys you can see, and man, there's a tremendous amount of talent there. Are they going to develop and capitalize? But there's been plenty of guys in that young age group that you wind up following that you say, man, that's somebody we got to put in our radar.
Hey, Josh, how competitive will things be when you get started? You have obviously some people that you're familiar with that you know from Indiana State, and you've got some people that have been here. But overall, how competitive do you anticipate for playing time your camp will be?
I think it's going to be really competitive. The summer's a little bit different, because you're trying to figure things out. We'll have, the first week we'll have, I think everybody will be here. And then 2 of our guys, Max Picard and Killian Brokoff, they're going to play with their national teams this summer. Killian's going to play with Germany, and Max will play with the Netherlands. So those guys will be gone, after those first couple weeks in terms of like back with their national teams. We got Isaiah Swope coming off a knee injury, so he'll be back, but it'll kind of be eased back in. And so, but I think it's going to be very competitive. We have, all 13 guys. We really were fortunate. We got 3 guys back. When you look at SLU, that played a lot. Obviously, Gibson headlines that group, but Larry Hughes started. Kellen Thames really came on the end of the year, averaged 20 minutes a game. And we've got, Robbie Avila, Isaiah Swope, who are all league players. At Indiana State with us, at Kaluanya, who was a starter at Brown. Kobe Johnson was a starter for West Virginia. You got about 6.5, 7 guys who started in Division I last year. And then you got a couple other guys like Josiah Dotzer, somebody I loved out of high school, was player of the year in Nebraska. Went to Creighton, didn't play much. A.J. Casey was a top 50 player in the country, went to Miami, hasn't played much. We really have, high hopes for those guys, Killian Brokoff and the guy. And then the 3 freshmen, we think we did really well. We think we got 3 guys that are, really, really fit. And you got to layer in some of those good young players. Amari McCautry is one of the top players in the state of Wisconsin. Dylan Warlick won multiple state championships, top player in the state of Oklahoma. And then obviously Max, who played at Sunrise Christian, international player, 6'11" guard, who we think has all the talent in the world. So those 3 guys, it'll be very, very competitive. Should be as deep a team as I've ever had in terms of 1 through 13.
I know that you're very busy right now, and you always be busy because you have a lot of things going on. But word on the street is that you play some pickleball.
I played pickleball I never played before. I played tennis, but I played pickleball when I was in Colorado Springs with Team USA. And so the first part of the story was my wife was on me about making sure, obviously no hair to protect. She's like, you're in this altitude. She's like, you make sure you wear sunscreen and bring a hat. And so she's on me, and I'm finally like, Natalia, I'm not a kid. I got it. I'll wear the hat. I'll bring the sunscreen. I arrive at the pickleball courts with no sunscreen or hat. So I have 9. So obviously I am a kid. So I fry. My head was fried, but it was a blast. I think it took me. I think I had. I had the whatever they call the sunburn. I had the blisters on my head. It was a bad deal, but we played. We played for about 2 hours. So I'm kind of hooked on. I got to try to find some places here to play. But it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. And then obviously the connection here. I know. Ross Chaffetz is bringing his team in here, I think, in about 11 days, and we'll connect with those guys. And so, the pro pickleball level, those guys are making, there's people making millions of dollars. Maybe I picked the wrong sport. Maybe I picked the wrong career path. I don't know. You can make millions playing pickleball. That seems like a good deal. So, but no, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Hey, Josh, one last thing. I had a chance to talk to Dennis Gates a couple of weeks ago, and he was effusive in his praise of you, and you guys are friends. How did that relationship start?
Yeah, well, Coach Gates, somebody I knew, I knew of him when he was at Florida State, didn't know him well. And then when he went to Cleveland State, they had great success there. We have Matt Klein, who I hired at Indiana State, is with Dennis at Missouri and does a lot of their offensive stuff. Matt was with me at Indiana State for a brief period of time, and so that was really where the relationship started to connect. And he's just a guy I got great respect for him. You look at what he's been able to do, and certainly I know Missouri wasn't what they wanted to be, but they'll, I think, bounce back very, very quickly. But what he did at Cleveland State, taking that program, completely flipping it in a year, that's having done it at Indiana State, we didn't flip it in a year. It took us, the first year was very rough. So to see what he's done there, and then went to Missouri and kind of did the same thing. I mean, there's a magic touch there. He does a great job. Terrific personality, a guy that really relates to his players. I think is all about the right things, and love what they do. Love the way they play. Play with a lot of freedom. I think there's some overlap with how we play. Certainly, Matt and I have stayed in touch, and I think there's some connection there. But I love watching them play, and I think they're going to be primed to have a really, really good year. So excited to follow along and watch. But he's a great guy, and really enjoy every time we get to connect.
And if people want to get involved, what are the age ranges for the camps? And people can go to slewbillikens.com for more info. But what are the age ranges for your camps that you have coming up in the next couple of weeks?
I think it's 7 through 14, I believe, or 15. So anybody 7 through 15 can come, boys and girls. And again, it'll be a lot of teaching, a lot of fundamental work. We really, we enjoy these camps. We put a lot into them. It's a great opportunity, like I said, to connect with our players and spend time with them. But it's also a good time to come in and really work on your game, whatever stage of your development you're at, whether you're just a beginner or somebody who's more advanced. I think it's a chance to come in, work, get better, and we enjoy them. We've done them everywhere I've been, and it's been a lot of fun. So hopefully we can get that started and cranked up here in St. Louis in the next week or two.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate the time, and you are now officially a member of the opening drive.
I can't wait. I'm waiting for that bump. I'm super excited. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning, whatever time. Let me know.
Take care. See you later. That's Josh Schertz. He's the basketball coach at St. Louis University. Coming up, the Battlehawks play their final home game, final regular season game this weekend, and their wide receiver, return man Darius Shepherd, is going to join us on the opening drive next on 101 ESPN. Battlehawks play their final home regular season game against San Antonio tomorrow at the Dome. Tickets still available. And guys, as I was perusing the Fox Sports coverage of the UFL, I stumbled upon the MVP power rankings right now. And at the moment, Adrian Martinez of Birmingham is listed number 1. Number 2 is wide receiver Hakeem Butler of your St. Louis Battlehawks. And number 3 is Darius Shepherd of the Battlehawks, a return man and wide receiver who's with us now with Brooke, Dan, and Randy on 101 ESPN. And we loved having Darius in studio a few weeks ago, and it's great to have him on the celebrity line right now. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are y'all?
Good. So number 3 in the MVP power rankings. What do you think of that?
That's pretty cool. I don't focus on it too much, but it just really shows how well the guys up front are doing for me, making blocks and helping us create plays.
Darius, a tough loss for you guys last weekend. What was the feeling just coming away from that game?
Yeah, it was definitely a disappointment. We felt like we came out pretty flat and didn't perform to our standard, but we turned the page and we're looking forward to week 10.
How about expectations then for this weekend?
Sorry, what was that?
How about expectations for this weekend?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We're expecting a hungry San Antonio team coming into the Dome, and we know what's on the line as far as home field advantage. So we're ready to show up and, get that sour taste out of our mouth from last week.
You talk about home field advantage, and of course everybody wants that because you want to compete in the Battle Dome with the fans cheering behind you. Do you guys talk about that a lot, about just how much you want to make sure you can get home field advantage?
Yeah, that's a big emphasis. I think we all know how important that home field advantage is with the St. Louis crowd behind us. We definitely don't want to let that slip through our fingers. So we're ready to handle business. And definitely, I think it benefits everybody in the league, us playing in St. Louis.
Darius, it is amazing, and the NFL has this too, but I think it's even more pronounced in the UFL, how much parity there is. And it's almost like any given Saturday or Sunday, anybody else can beat you. And you guys have lived that the last couple of weeks, haven't you?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. That's kind of what I thought might happen when they had the merger. There was so much talent between the two spring leagues last year, and then bringing them together, you knew that every week there's going to be, some good teams battling it out. So you got to show up and perform just like the NFL.
How hard has it been not having A.J. McCarron these past 2 games? And I'm not taking away anything from Manny Wilkins, but obviously McCarron is your quarterback.
Right, yeah, it's always tough losing your quarterback one. You have to make different adjustments and figure out how you're going to game plan without him. But like you said, I think Manny stepped up and did a really great job with the situation that we had, and we just got to keep moving forward, and whoever's out there will keep making plays.
When you have the kind of year that you're having right now, are you constantly on the phone with an agent, your agent, or trying to get feelers out for the NFL?
No, I really just kind of go quiet and let him do his thing, and I take care of business on Saturdays and Sundays, and once the season's over, we'll talk more about what the future might look like.
And obviously next year, the NFL is going to adopt your kick return rules. How have you enjoyed that? Obviously, you spend your entire life with one set of rules, and now in the XFL/UFL, they've been different. How have you enjoyed the way things are set up in the return game?
Yeah, it's been different the last few years dealing with the different formats that they've used. I'm really happy that the NFL took the XFL style and is going to run with that and see how it works for them. I think it'll be a great adjustment for player safety and creating more explosive plays. It's kind of, it gets boring watching constantly kickoffs going out the back of the end zone. So I'm really looking forward to that. And as far as personally playing, it's always like taking it back to when you're a kid in the backyard, just throwing the ball out and trying to make a play with all the guys around. So I enjoy the kickoff return play, and I'm happy it's not leaving the game.
Another benefit of playing at the Battle Dome is that you guys get some local food that comes to you guys after the game. I saw that High Point is one of the places that is getting food for you. What do you think of High Point?
Yeah, they've been crushing it. They take care of us every single week. I'm a big fan of the cheeseburger over there, so we're definitely happy that we get to, go back home on the plane with some High Point.
Love it. Yeah, that's one awesome burger, Darius, and we're glad that you guys get to enjoy those. And hopefully you'll get a chance to enjoy them after a win tomorrow against the Brahmas. And the Brahmas are no pushover. They're 7-2, but it's real easy for you guys, at least in terms of not the game, but in terms of what you have to do. Win, and you've got home field, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Go in there, take care of business for 4 quarters, and we'll be back in St. Louis the following week for the same matchup.
All right. Thank you, sir. We always appreciate hearing from you. We wish you luck tomorrow, and we'll talk soon.
Hey, I appreciate it. You guys have a good one.
You too, Darius. Darius Shepherd, the returner for the St. Louis Battlehawks, and tickets available And the crowds at the Battle Dome are a little bit more raucous for the 3 o'clock games than the 11 o'clock games.
Well, we had this discussion before about what would you prefer. I don't think there's ever exactly a bad time to have a game or football game unless it's like super early in the morning. But even then, I feel like people always have a good reason to rally. I'm a big fan of the Darty, but yes, 3 p.m. crowds, you have a little bit more time to settle in and get things situated. The tailgates, every time that I've been by it going over to the Battle Dome, I mean, they are absolutely just bumping over there. I see all the different flags. I see people celebrating. It's great to see a lot of that stuff happen over at the Dome.
I wonder how the new rules are going to change NFL rosters on special teams. And maybe, Randy, you can dive into a little bit, explain, if you know it, just the kick return and how that's going to work.
Yeah, the way it's set up is that you have essentially one return guy, and then the rest of your return unit is set up within a 5-yard area between your own 40 and 45, and they can't move until the ball is in the hands of the return guy. Nobody goes, so that gives everybody that's a return man, especially a guy as explosive as Darius Shepherd, the opportunity to be explosive because you don't have people all over you right when you catch the ball.
What about player safety?
Well, that's the thing is there are no more wedges, and it's basically one-on-one, but the high-speed collision is basically gone now.
Yeah, I could see that. I think it's going to be good for the game because it's been such an obsolete part of what we see in the NFL. It's just not a part of it anymore. So I guess I'll look forward to that. I'm curious, though, how that changes a roster. A guy that is strictly special teams, and he makes a roster where in years past, maybe he doesn't. I think that's something to look at.
Yeah, and this weekend, for people wondering if it's going to be Manny Wilkins or if A.J. McCarron will be back, because he could possibly return. Anthony Beck still isn't putting out there who exactly it will be. Can I say something controversial?
Yeah, hot take.
Okay, hot take here. Don't you think if you were the UFL that you would make sure that St. Louis wins and gets to the championship at least?
And that's not controversial.
Is it controversial or not?
No. Well, here's the thing.
I'm just saying, everybody says that the NFL is scripted.
Yeah.
So,
well, do you think there might be a level of scripting to where Rock came from?
yeah, the WWE is known for that.
That's all. No. That's all real.
It's real, but it's real entertainment.
Exactly.
It's as real as the Tooth Fairy.
I'm looking forward to it, though. I mean, home field advantage if they get that, and then having the championship in St. Louis. Interest level around that will be high, I think, just because you'll get, if they're in the championship, I think they get 45,000 people there. That would be the over-under for me. And most people, I think, are taking the over on that.
I think I would go over, yeah. So, yeah, I think that will be great.
Yeah, all right. So, well, I guess we'll find out.
We shall. And it'll be a big weekend in St. Louis. So, sports-wise, because the Cardinals are on the road, you got St. Louis City SC in action against Inter Miami this weekend, and then the Battlehawks. So it should be a really great sports weekend in town.
So, Rock, do we have a little Messi action this weekend?
Oh, yeah, he should play.
I will watch that. No,
it'll be fun. It'll be fun to actually watch it.
I can't wait till he comes through town.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah. No? You're not excited about that?
I mean, it's a year to thing with a guy like Messi. I mean, for all you, I mean, he might just. There's no telling when he just says, you know what, I'm good with this. I'm going to go back to Argentina.
Well, don't worry about that because then by that time we'll have Mbappe.
Randy.
I'm just saying.
God, you know what? I really wanted to put what club team does Mbappe play for on the fight one of these days because you keep mentioning him. I was like, well, if you're going to keep mentioning him, fine.
He's my guy. Coming up, Terron Armstead is from the area and does amazing things in our community. The left tackle for the Dolphins will join us next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals are back in action after a day off, facing off against the Philadelphia Phillies tonight. 5:40 first pitch, and it'll be Miles Michaelis facing off against Aaron Nola. Last night in the NHL, the Florida Panthers over the Rangers 3-2 in the game, and they also take a 3-2 lead in their series. You can catch Game 6 on Saturday here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6:30. In tonight's Game 5 between the Oilers and the Stars, right here on 101 ESPN, pregame starts at 6. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
I'm Randy Carricker. It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN. And the Dolphins left tackle Terron Armstead, a product of Cahokia, has done great work in our community for many years. And this is the marquee weekend for his foundation. And tonight, he's got his second annual celebrity basketball tournament. And then tomorrow, there's going to be a football camp that's hosted by Terron and his foundation. And Terron joins us now on 101 ESPN. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. And first of all, thanks for what you do. And you're bringing people like Cam Jordan, your former Saints teammate, and Lil Jordan Humphrey from the Broncos, Justin Ellis, and more, along with Jackie Joyner-Kersey, by the way, to the Cahokia Senior High School gym. Who's going to win that game? Do you have it set up so that you've got ringers on your team?
I have some ringers on my team for sure. We're definitely planning on winning. I have the young kid, Hansel Emmanuel, coming as well, and he's going to be on my team, so I like our chances.
That's what I like to hear.
Terron, great talking to you again. Just tell us about your foundation and who it benefits.
The foundation is based out of Cahokia Heights, Illinois, and we just try to be a benefit to Cahokia Heights and all surrounding areas. We've also done a lot of work in New Orleans and Miami, the cities that I've played professionally, but the goal is to educate, to introduce, expose the youth, the community to different industries, different walks of life that we've just never been touched before.
Who are the influences for you to give back like this and to put on events? It's not easy to do, but I'm sure it's very rewarding for you. But who are some of the influences that led you down this road?
It kind of just feels like it just feels like a natural duty, an obligation. Just growing up, my family, my dad, my grandmother, my mom, just very giving people, always looking to help others, lend a hand, and it just was a natural instinct for me when I got older and became a leader in the community. So it's just a part of my makeup.
And Terron, one of the things that your foundation does is provide local kids with a safe and productive environment to develop their football skills. And in this world today, not everything is going to be safe for kids, and football can kind of be an oasis, can't it? To get out to practice and be involved in camps like this and to play the sport, it can be a place to provide safety.
Yeah, for sure. And we want to definitely create that environment, that safe and comfortable environment, and also the proper teaching and fundamentals of the game, to where that safety is the priority. You know, we teach proper technique, proper fundamentals to prevent injuries, to prevent any type of long-lasting effects. So it's a great time we have in the community. Everyone comes out. It's a big family environment, family atmosphere, and it's just an amazing weekend.
And by the way, it's at Cahokia Senior High School, all of the events this weekend. How can people get more information, Terron?
TerronArmsteadFoundation.org, Terron Armstead on Facebook, Terron Armstead Foundation on Facebook. Those are the outlets we've been trying to keep people updated on.
Perfect. Okay, we got to ask you a couple of football questions. Number one, before last September, had you ever played in a game, high school, college, peewee, whatever, where your team scored 10 touchdowns?
Honestly, I cannot say that I have. Definitely nothing I can truly recollect. That was crazy. It was a great moment to be a part of. It's history. You know, we had the opportunity to break the record of 72 points. We were in field goal range, but Coach Mike McDaniel, he decided not to do so. And but it was incredible.
and we're excited to see you with your third season with the Dolphins. Now, I saw some reports that you were possibly considering retirement. Why did you want to come back for your third season with the Dolphins?
Yeah, after these last few seasons, I've always done like my due diligence period to really evaluate and do some self-scouting, self-reflection on what I wanted to do. The NFL season is tough. It's very hard, and you have to fully be committed, 100%, no eyes anywhere else. So this probably was the first time I was more vocal about that process, which gave a lot more coverage. And but I love the direction of the team. I love the assets that we have. I love the acquisitions that we have. And I would love to walk away from the game with a championship whenever my career is done. And I would love to have that accolade under my belt to get that ring. So I think we have a great chance. We have a great chance, and that's really all you can ask for.
How did you and your teammates get through the playoff game in Kansas City, one of the coldest playoff games on record in the history of the league?
I don't think we got through. I don't think we got through at all. No, seriously, that was different. It's really indescribable, and I'm not a person that try to get sympathy or empathy for anything, but that was the coldest I had ever experienced. And I'm from Illinois. Like we get cold winters. It was way worse than I could fathom. And when they talked about it on the week headed up to Kansas City, the night before we walked out, we got some food, and it was about 0, -2, but the -30 wind chill was almost inhumane.
Oh man. And Terron, we always talk about teams from warmer climates like Miami, Tampa, LA, trying to go to colder climates. Do you think it was even tougher on some of your teammates who had never dealt with weather like that before?
I don't think that part makes much of a difference from a guy's home or origin state. That was a different environment for anybody. Like even people from Canada or whatever, that was a historic day as far as temperature and climate. So this is not something that anyone could be used to or can be familiar with. It was a different day.
You've had a chance to go over and play in Europe with Miami. What is that experience like? We talk about the games in which the NFL will go overseas. From a player's perspective, what is that like?
It's a great experience for sure. You get a chance to take the game globally, and the NFL is making a huge international push, expanding to more and more countries. And the turnout is always incredible. You see fans that don't even speak the same language, but they know what they know about the game and the level of excitement, the energy that they bring. The stadium was going crazy. It was one of the loudest games I had played in my career, and they're rooting for both teams. So like it's a very cool experience, especially for the young guys to go over. Some guys have never been out the country before, and the way that the NFL have everything set up to where it's a smooth operation and everything's well taken care of. But the fans over there, and like we were just in Germany last year, the energy that they brought was second to none.
Terron Armstead, second annual celebrity basketball tournament tonight at Cahokia Senior High School. That is going to be at 7 o'clock. And then tomorrow morning, starting at 9, it's the football camp, and you can get more information at TerronArmsteadFoundation.org. Hey, one last thing. You mentioned your head coach, Mike McDaniel, and I'm addicted to Mike McDaniel clips on social media. He's just hilarious. Is he that way? Because I know you see some of this stuff. Is he that way with you players as he is with the media?
The way you see him, that's the way he is. And that's the beauty about it. That's why we love him. It's genuine. He's that all the time, 100% around the clock. So that's him. That's him. He's a unique guy.
Well, that's got to be part of the reason when you do that due diligence, when you talk about coming back, that's probably one of the things that makes you come back, right?
Yeah, Mike he's enticing, man. The environment that he's created down there in Miami is incredible. Anyone you can ask, any player, staff, front office, you're excited to go to work. You look forward to going to work. And not everyone have that experience. Winning or losing, it's an environment that makes you want to go in and work to improve. So that definitely makes the decision a lot easier to go back and re-enter that.
Terron Armstead, we're so proud of your career and what you've done in the NFL, but more proud of what you're doing for the community and what you're doing tonight and tomorrow. Thank you so much for doing that, and thanks so much for the time this morning. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, take care, Terron. Terron Armstead, and you can go to TerronArmsteadFoundation.org for more information about the basketball tonight or the camp tomorrow. And, of course, as he mentioned, you can go to the Facebook page, too.
That's great that when you have athletes coming back and giving back to their community, those football camps mean so much to those young players and future athletes as well. I mean, you guys have been to some of those camps. I've been to Ezekiel Elliott's camp that he always does every single summer, and they are just so excited to be able to learn from some of the best guys in the game out there.
No doubt.
How'd the players get through that cold game?
I don't know.
I mean, I had a buddy of mine that went as a fan and said, and he was dressed as appropriately as you could be for cold weather. He said he could not feel his hands. He said he could not feel his feet. He thought he might have frostbite afterward, like serious frostbite. I can't believe that the players, how miserable they must have been to play that game.
Multiple fans had to have amputated toes.
Yeah.
And fingers because of the cold.
Is it really worth it?
Yeah.
To go to that game?
Won the Super Bowl.
Well, you get to say that you did it. And then anytime, like you say,
come
you lost
on, you're
finger,
amputating something for a game
but then
that
it's
you're
a great
fan of?
story because then you lose a finger and be like, well, you know how I lost this, right?
Oh, what a great story that must be.
No.
I went to a game and got an amputation afterwards.
For the guys that were watching in their backyard in KC, not as great.
No, Randy.
Don't go there, Randall.
I'm just saying, Dan, you're enamored with the fact that I talk about
death.
Death, yes.
Yes.
Well, it happened to some guys. They were watching the game and
Randy.
They died.
No.
Yes, they did.
I know they did. I'm saying no. No. Oh,
Coming up, we've got
Rock and Roll.
No. Here. What? Oh, rush hour. It's a late rush hour reset. My little thing here says rock and roll, but this thing says rush hour reset.
Does it?
So,
your grid says rock and roll.
Hey, look, we're like Anchorman over here. If it's on the paper, we're going to read it.
Anything. Okay, rush hour reset next time 101 ESPN.
Next week, this break, please.
You got it, my man.
So anyways, for Monday, I'm thinking like we do all of our best benchmarks.
Yeah.
Sick of it like 3 times.
Rock.
Thursday, June 27th is going to be a big day in St. Louis. It's NetSuite's Business Grows Here event at Union Station Hotel. Why did they choose St. Louis? Because NetSuite knows St. Louis is a hub for entrepreneurs with forward-thinking founders, a top talent pool, and pro-business leadership. So if you have a startup that's going well, or maybe you have a business idea, you need to get to the business event of the year at Union Station Hotel on Tuesday, June 27th. You'll learn how Missouri is paving the way for new business growth and capital, and see how technology fueled by AI is shaping the way we grow and run our businesses. And you'll be inspired by business leaders like Jamie Siminoff, founder of Ring Video Doorbell, who has headquartered his next company right here in St. Louis. NetSuite by Oracle. Business Grows Here is free to attend if you qualify. Apply right now to find out, because seats are going quickly. Block out your calendar for Thursday, June 27th. All you need to do is apply at netsuite.com/Missouri. That's NetSuite, NETSUITE, netsuite.com/Missouri.
Recapping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Getting ready for the weekend. The Cardinals open a 3-game series in Philadelphia tonight. Miles Michaelis versus Aaron Nola. That game can be seen on Bally. And then tomorrow's game is on Fox. And then Sunday's game is Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. In addition to that, St. Louis City SC is at Inter Miami tomorrow. And tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock, you've got your St. Louis Battlehawks taking on the San Antonio Brahmas. That should be a big one. And as Darius Shepherd noted, win, and you're playing a playoff game against San Antonio next weekend at the Dome.
I have an honest question, and I'm not very bright. What's a Brahma?
I think it's a bull.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you know what? I don't know. Now
Is a Brahma bull?
I'm just curious.
What is a Brahma?
I'm sure the text line will let us know and load them up with what a Brahma is.
They probably won't be like, duh, it's stupid.
I mean, that's a legit question, I thought.
There's a Brahma cow and a Brahma chicken. A Brahma cow is indeed a bull.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
all right.
Well, and also the logo, you can't exactly fully tell, but it does look like
it looks like a bull. Yeah.
Okay. I like unique names for teams.
Yeah.
So the Brahmas is not bad. Of course, nothing tops the Battlehawks.
And here's the best thing about a Brahma bull.
Okay.
It's a form of beef cattle. So you can get steak from it.
Who is the guy that we had on last week? Maybe he's served up a Brahma.
Oh, yeah, Mike Johnson?
Yeah.
I'm sure he has.
Brahma is also
in his day. The Florida Panthers within a game of the Stanley Cup Finals. They knocked off the Rangers last night 3-2. Panthers lead the series 3-2. Game 6 is tomorrow here on 101 ESPN. The pregame at 6:30, and the NBA Finals are set. Who do you like between the teams in green, Dallas and Boston? Dallas
Celtics.
Mavericks over the T-Wolves last night, 124-103. It'll be Dallas and Boston for the NBA championship.
Celtics.
Yeah,
Jason Tatum?
Celtics. Yep.
Yeah.
Going with Tatum. They'll be favored, I would assume, in this NBA Finals, so I'll go with the Celtics. Matthew?
Apparently, according to the text line, The Rock has a tattoo that is a Brahma bull, and that was one of his nicknames at some point. So they're saying that he has a tattoo, and it was his nickname. So you bring in last year when they were doing the new XFL teams, that was one of the new names when The Rock came in. So kind of,
I thought it was a legitimate question.
No, it is. I'm very interested. Did you see the video? Do you guys remember? I was just kind of looking at some clips of like favorite Bill Walton moments when we were talking about it the other day, and when he did all the different sounds of what he thought the XFL teams would be, and this was when it was just XFL, and he was going through, and it was just so funny.
Did he do caw?
He kind of made more of like a growling noise for the Battlehawks. Yeah.
I have to listen to that one.
Yeah, I'll find the clip.
That'll be one I'll probably pass on.
No?
No. I like seeing his highlights. I want to go more of his highlights.
His playing highlights?
Yeah, the dominant center that he was.
I always liked just kind of the free spirit. You never knew what he was going to say. He just kind of let it fly on his broadcast.
That's for sure.
We need more of that. And that's why we have Josh Innes coming up next year on 101 ESPN. Josh will let it fly. He's a vocal dude. He's fun. He has a fun show. Josh Innes coming up in for T-Mac in Ajax.
This weekend, what do you guys think? 2 out of 3 that they lose, 2 out of 3 they win? Do they get swept? Do they sweep? What do you think?
I think they take 1 out of 3. The Cardinals take 1 out of 3.
I'd be happy with 1 out of 3 and get out of Dodge.
1 out of 3 would be good. Yeah. Now, if they sweep it, whew.
That'd be great. But tomorrow, Rangers Juarez is going to be tough to beat on Sunday night, even though you have Sonny Gray going. Tonight is going to be very tough with Michaelis against Nola, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm anticipating a fast game. Aaron Nola, they hit 357 against him on the first pitch, and if you don't get, if he gets a strike on you, he dominates. So early in counts, be aggressive, get a pitch to hit, go after it. So you could see a lot of outs early on in counts.
Good point. So
we'll see.
2.5-hour game.
I will also be interested to see if Nolan Arenado, I know he had 2 days off because they had the day off the other day, and then obviously he took the day off from that one game, if he'll be able to hopefully continue the momentum from the game before that where he hit the home run.
Right-handed batters hitting 296 against Aaron Nola. That's something to keep in mind, too. So I would assume somewhat of a right-handed maybe, potentially. He's actually tougher against lefties, but would you put more righties in your lineup tonight?
I think I would. And I'm going to start with my 2 corner guys. They're going to be in there anyway, right?
Yeah.
But you're going to also have your 2 big lefties at the moment, Burleson and Gorman. I think it'll be an intriguing lineup that Ollie puts together.
I'm also intrigued with the immediate future of Lars Newpar. They need him. He's starting to come on. Yeah. He's playing well. He can play all 3 outfield spots, so you can mix and match with him. But whether or not his sore side is something that lingers and puts him on the IL, it's something to see tonight. And as Brooke mentioned, Fermin was not in the lineup last night for Memphis, so it looks like a corresponding move is coming up.
Yeah. With Lars, and you guys know, obviously huge fan. The Nutty Neuters of Newt Nation are very excited with what he's been able to do, but he does have to stay healthy. That is something that is very obvious, but at this point, it's starting to become a trend with him in his career.
Just hasn't stayed on the field.
Yeah.
That was the big thing for me going into the season with Newpar is 140 to 145 games.
Yeah.
And just to see where the numbers are at the end of the year. And, it's unfortunate. Injured at the beginning of the season, coming out of spring training. Looks like an injury right now. You got to stay on the field. That's the biggest part of being an everyday player.
The most important ability is
availability.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's true.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you got to stay in the lineup.
Yeah. Hey, and don't forget the Enjoy Illinois 300 tomorrow over at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Still tickets available. You can go to www.raceway.com and get tickets not only for the race, but for the Confluence Music Festival as well. And you can see T-Pain and Ludacris is going to be there. Adam Wainwright's going to be performing. That one guy, the eye
Riley. What were you going to say?
The eye candy guy?
No. Riley Green.
Yeah. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You said that. I didn't say that.
No, I think he's a very attractive gentleman. So I'm not going there to listen. I'm going there to watch him.
Good for you, Randall.
Thank you.
Randy's going to be front row and center for Riley Green, aren't you?
Yeah.
Very open-minded with this weekend's festivities, aren't you?
I am. And the one thing is with the NASCAR races, so my buddy Chris Muir over at Golf Discounts and I have a bet week after week. I bet the even cars. He bets the odd cars in NASCAR. So I'm rooting for William Byron.
No betting in the state of Missouri.
This is in Illinois at the Enjoy Illinois 300.
Good point.
Yep.
Hadn't thought of that.
Yep. So
the friends will be.
Get your money,
friends will be looking at that.
Get your money down on the odds or the evens in NASCAR. Good job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
And have a good weekend. Brooke, did you have fun?
Yes.
Have a fun weekend planning your wedding.
Yeah, that's happening. That'll be my weekend plans.
Okay. Enjoy.
Yes.
Be great.
And you enjoy the Enjoy Illinois 300.
I shall. Danny Mac, you were awesome.
No. You are.
What do you got going on? You got fun stuff happening this weekend?
Probably playing some golf.
I like that.
Running kids all over the place. That'll be probably what I'm doing this weekend.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, hopefully on the golf course with them.
Yeah. Hey, we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. We've got Josh Innes coming up, followed by BK and Ferrario from 11 to 2, and the Fast Lane from 2 to 6, and then the weekend for all of us. Did we already say thank you? We did. Don't just have a great weekend. Have an American weekend.
Bring your ass.